Hello world, I'm Nom, and today we're going to go ahead and try out the Forgotten City. This is available on Game Pass. It caught my attention. I saw some trailers of it before, so I thought might as well try it out now. We need a little break after finishing up all those previous games we were playing. Plus, I just set up a new router and I really need to see how things go without playing a game I'm too invested in. So this is kind of like a test stream for that. We'll see how it goes. Alright then, let me move the mouse cursor out of the way. And... alright, let's start a new game. Okay, multiple endings. Neat. Present day.
Hey, you're alive. When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, a phone, maybe. I hope you don't mind. But all I found was some loose change.
I had money on me?
Wanna tell me who you are?
Okay. Select your body type. Am I a coin or a coin? Oh, what? What's the difference? Skin tone. We'll go with... yeah, I'm pretty pale. Enter your name. Oh man, the most difficult part of any game. I really shouldn't. Okay. What's a name that isn't too stupid to use? Fuck it, I'm going for it. Fuck it.
Well, it's nice to meet you. And I'm sorry to pry, but any idea why you were floating down the river? What's the last thing you remember?
The jello and the pudding and... Let's see. I wonder if I could pause the game right now. I can't. Okay. I was in search for ancient ruins. I was on a covert mission. Amnesiac. Oh, okay. We can pick our origin here. Archaeologist. Soldier. I have a firearm, but only 10 bullets. Run from law. I wouldn't admit that to anyone. Barely remember anything. Amnesiac. Your recent head trauma has increased your pain threshold, making you 50% harder to take down. Let's just go with the amnesiac.
It does look like you took a pretty hard blow to the head. You're just lucky you've been given a second chance. Which is why I feel terrible for what I'm about to say, but I have a favor to ask. There are some ruins just behind you. Roman, I think. I need you to go in there and see if you can find a guy named Al for me. He went in there a few hours ago, and he hasn't come out. I've been freaking out, wondering if he's trapped or injured or worse. I would have gone in after him, but he made me promise to stay here, no matter what. There's no way I'm leaving without him, so I'm just kind of stuck here, waiting. What I mean is, I was hoping you wouldn't mind going in there to find him. If you can do that, I can get both of you back to civilization in my boat. Please?
Mind if I ask some questions first?
Oh, of course. Sorry, I don't mean to be pushy. I just... What do you want to know?
Okay. What's your story?
Oh, there's not much to tell. Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute. Know what I mean?
You're not going to tell me your name?
Oh, I'd rather not say if it's all the same to you.
But I just told you my name. Bill Cosby. Alright. Let's see. I'd really like to know, especially if I'm going to be helping you.
All right, fine. Sorry if I sounded cagey, it's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen.
Huh. All those Karen memes have fully ruined that name, huh?
Yeah, something like that. But right now, I have bigger problems, like finding Al.
Who's Al?
He's the guy who washed up on the riverbank not long before you did. I thought maybe you two knew each other. I guess not. But maybe the two of you can piece together what you're doing here. In any case, you'll like him, I'm sure. Once you find him, that is.
Or are
You
we?
really don't remember? We're in Italy. This river is the Tiber.
Italia. Okay. What can you tell me about the ruins?
Not much, really. But imagine what you might find in there. Priceless ancient artifacts. Al...
Have you tried calling for help?
What am I, an idiot? You could hike a long, long way in any direction and never find another soul. Trust me.
Why shouldn't I? Alright, that's all the questions I had.
Great. So you're ready to go look for Al?
Alright. I'm going to look for priceless artifacts, but I'll keep an eye out for him.
My hero. The entrance is just past those columns behind you. Oh, and he left this here. But I think you'll need it more than I will.
Flashlight. Heavy duty, battery powered flashlight. Left stick. Okay, let me... settings. The menu is a lot louder than everything else. That's the weird part. But maybe... okay, here. I'll put you at 60, and then I'll put you at... let's see, 40? Let me change the controller settings here. Hold on a second here. I need to tweak some things around just to... according to OBS, everything's fine, but I'm trying to watch this also on my tablet. But I'm having some trouble. This is essentially going to be a troubleshooting stream, now that I think about it. So, let me go ahead and restart my tablet here, just in case it's been up too long. We'll leave it up for now. Let me check Twitch on my phone. Yeah, the phone has no problem connecting. Let's see, my channel. Let's watch. Oh, there I am. Hello, me. Alright. So, yeah, looks fine here. Must be the tablet just shitting itself. Okay, give it a moment. I don't know if any of the other streamers actually do that, though. Like, do they actually keep a stream of themselves up to make sure the connection's good. OBS does indicate whether or not your bit rate's fine or everything like that, but I want to see firsthand for myself when I do this stuff. So that's why I always load it up. Okay, now it's loading. Pull it up. Okay, seems to be up. All right. We're getting some stuttering though. Let me cap the frame rate actually. It's gonna be weird. We're gonna open this is a DX12, so I have to use the really crappy capturing method. No. Oh, fuck! No! I was trying to click on something else and then it fucking put me in the quit menu. What a little bullshit. Oh my god. Well, there goes that. I'm trying to click on Riva Tuner. Okay. Add. There we go. Add. There. Jeez. Set the frame rate limit. Well, let's do 120. Continue as Bill Cosby. Oh god, that's hilarious. Okay, bitrate did take a bit of a dive there, but that might be a hardware issue thing. Let's continue. Inner runes.
The ruins are just beyond those columns. Please, hurry.
Yeah. Let me inspect. I was asleep not long ago. Smells of smoke, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Here's the flashlight. Here are the ruins. Search for clues about Al's whereabouts. Let me adjust sensitivity here. Jesus Christ, that thing's loud. No, that's too low. Fine, we'll leave it like that. This was originally like a Skyrim mod, right? And I could sort of see it in the design. Let me try viewing this using the browser instead of the Twitch app. It's usually better for me. I don't know why. Bookmarks. Yes, I have my own Twitch stream bookmarked on my tablet. Okay. Back up, moving. Examine backpack. Backpack full of worn hiking clothes and empty food packets. Nothing valuable here, but still strange that Al left it behind. Hmm. It does look way smoother on the web, well, on the web browser instead of the actual Twitch app. Let's see. Al's note.
If you're reading this, it means I've discovered the entrance to an ancient Roman city hidden deep underground. Its existence is long for...
Fuck. Hold up. Was there autosave before that? Damn it. I'm sorry, I need the lore. I was wondering what Al said and I just walked right in. Okay, well, we'll try this again. Adjust some settings here. All right. Sprint. Backpack full of worn hiking clothes and empty food packets. Nothing valuable here, but still seems strange that Al left it behind. Okay. All right, let's read the note without jumping in the door yet.
If you're reading this, it means I've discovered the entrance to an ancient Roman city hidden deep underground. Its existence is long forgotten, all knowledge of it lost, except in the Latin inscription here. It reads, "You who wish to enter the city, step forth and be judged. The virtuous shall be rewarded with eternal life in paradise. The wicked shall find themselves showered in gold, but in vain, for this shall be their final resting place." Could an underground city have remained a secret for all this time? Could people have survived down there, against the odds? It seems there's only one way to find out. If I'm not back in an hour, I'm somewhere on the other side. Consider this an invitation, or a warning. Al Worth.
I should go tell Karen about this. It stutters a lot less once you get the shaders generated.
The ruins are just beyond those columns. Please, hurry. Back already? What's up?
Okay. I found a note saying he's gone searching for an underground city.
Sounds like you're on the right track then. Maybe see if you can find the entrance?
Okay, I'll be going now.
Thanks again. And please, hurry.
Yeah, once all the shaders are compiled, it isn't as stuttery. You know what? For full immersion, let's see if we can get rid of the crosshair. Interface. Okay, apply. Save game. Do a hard save also. There we go. Immersion. Okay. Whoa. Oh, 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 oh. You almost got me that time. Inspect. A lamp plaque which reads, "You who wish to enter the city, step forth and be judged. The virtuous shall be rewarded with eternal life in paradise. The wicked shall find themselves shouted and glowed, but in vain. For this shall be their final resting place." Excellent. Alright, I think we're supposed to actually fall through this, but... Alright. Let's just see which way we fall. Okay, that way. Geronimo! Found an entrance to the secret city. And the lighting for this isn't quite right. Cell phone. A broken cell phone. It probably belonged to Al. It's of no use down here. I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm sure he'd appreciate it if I brought it to him, though. Nani? All of them in gold. This isn't one of those games with limited flash time battery, right? I think we're good. This place is lit though, so... Gold statue. A Roman gladiator, mid-stride. What could have made a gladiator flee? I don't know Latin. Loading. Oh, it's generating the shaders. Oh god. Okay. What's that sound? I keep hearing like some sort of blade out in the edge somewhere. Vigil what? Follow Al's trail. Okay. Scribe. Stone tablet.
To whoever reads this, I'm sorry you had to find me like this. And worse, that you'll suffer the same fate I did. I've spent a lifetime in this place, going around and around in circles, searching for a way out. The inscription was right. There is no way back. And here there are only two options. Death, or that godforsaken doorway into the past. I made the mistake of stepping through it. I wanted to set things right. And I tried. I really tried. Whatever I did, it took me right back to the beginning. Don't make the same mistake. Better to end it all now. And find out what awaits you beyond that portal.
Well, let's see what's beyond the portal. I wonder how much of this is actually coming through on video. It's pretty dark, so it gets compressed together, I think. Young Roman women in a state of panic. I also live in a state of panic. Oh boy. Let me take a look at this first. A Roman man on his knees, as if begging his gods for mercy. The remains of a human, whoever it was, died a long, long time ago. Well, I guess we're going in. Let me save. Let go. We're going to Plaid. It's reminding me to sprint because I've been sprinting enough. Forget me not complete. Oh, give it a moment to finish generating the shaders. Oh.
Salve, friend. I'm Galerius. Mind telling me who you are and what you were doing in the Shrine of Proserpina?
I'm Bill Cosby and I got lost. This is actually an episode of South Park. There was a guy named Bill Cosby who wasn't actually Bill Cosby, but he's from the future. No, I'm Bill Cosby. Wait, are you speaking English?
What? I'm speaking Latin. You are too, although your accent's a little strange. Oh, I see what you did there. Changing the subject like that. Nice try. But I'll ask again. Who are you, and what were you doing in the shrine?
Shrine of Proserpina?
Yeah, you know, agricultural goddess of springtime? You're not from around here, are you? And you've just done it again. You're a sly one, aren't you? One more time. Who are you, and what were you doing in that shrine?
I'm Bill Cosby. I come from the future.
No idea what you're talking about. Oh, wait. Are you a bit, you know, not right in the head? That's all right, friend. Everyone's welcome here.
Seriously, what's today's date?
We sort of lose track of the date down here, but it feels like the beginning of spring to me, so I'd say early March?
The Ides of March? What year?
It's 817 AUC. Sorry, you look confused. 817 years since the founding of Rome. Which part of the Empire are you from, exactly?
Never mind.
But listen, most folks seem a bit confused when they get here, but you seem very lost, and in more ways than one. So let me make this nice and simple for you. Live by our law here, and we'll all get along just fine.
Your laws?
Not laws, law. There's just one, the Golden Rule, and the punishment for breaking it's kind of horrific. But our magistrate insists we take all newcomers to see him, so I guess I'll let him fill you in. So then, you coming?
No thanks, I'll make my own way.
Look, you seem like you might need a little extra help, and I'd feel a lot more comfortable if I showed you the way.
Alright, lead the way.
Follow me. When I first arrived, I couldn't believe there were...
Okay, let me adjust the audio settings again. Yeah, 100. Push to 100.
living down here. But, as you can see, we've got a nice little community now. Only 23 of us at the moment, if you count the 3 who are missing. No idea how, since nobody knows a way out. But it's just big and dark enough to get lost in.
There's
if you're
literally a
not
button,
careful.
just tell them to follow.
Aren't you going to introduce me to your handsome new friend, Galerius?
Keep it in your loincloth, Aurelia. I'm taking him to see the magistrate.
That pompous old bore won't be magistrate for much longer. Anyone who helps vote him out today drinks at my bar for free tonight.
Politics. I'd stay clear of it and her if I were you. She's... it's not my place to say. Down on your right is our farm, where I grow all the food you'll ever want. As long as all you want is leek, cabbage, and wheat. Huh. That one usually gets a chuckle.
Har
The
har.
bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone.
Don't mind Livia. She means well. She's just been in a bad place since... Well, you know, I don't know what happened to her. Up here on your right is the chasm. If you've got a weapon, it belongs way down at the bottom. Up on your left is the Forum, where you can visit the market or get yourself patched up in Lucretia's clinic in the Shrine of Apollo. Most of us have almost nothing, just what we had on us when we arrived, and what we've been able to make and scrounge up since. And this central plateau is where the magistrate and the other patricians live, so don't expect a warm welcome.
Galerius, you're meant to be working the farm, not trudging dirt into the villas.
Take it easy, Horatius. I was just taking our new friend here to see the magistrate.
Well, he's asked me to escort the newcomer personally. The farm. Go. Now.
You'd better go with him. But just remember, they're not like you and me. Don't let them use you.
What was that? What did you just say?
I said it'll take some getting used to.
Yeah, I'm watching you, farm boy. Greetings, citizen. My name's Horatius. Magistrate Sentius asked me to escort you to him personally. Follow me, please.
Alright,
Follow me.
fine.
The only thing you really need to understand right now is the Golden Rule. Let me see if I can explain it this way. When I was serving in the Legion, if there was a mutiny brewing in one cohort, the legate in charge wouldn't waste time finding the bad apples among hundreds. They just divided us into groups of 10, made us draw straws, and whoever drew the short straw had to be executed by the other 9. Didn't matter whether he'd done anything wrong. One of us in 10 would die for the crimes of the collective. We call it decimation. If that seems like rough justice to you, you're in for a rude shock. Because the Golden Rule is exactly 10 times worse. The magistrate can explain the rest.
So,
Use up these
100%
stairs.
summation. Howdy.
we're finally alone. I assume you already know who I am. May I know your name?
I'm Bill Cosby.
A curious name to match a curious accent.
What do you mean
But
about
I
my
digress.
accent?
Now, you're probably wondering
It's just the
why I
jello and the
summoned you,
pudding.
and I'll get to that. But
Zippity
first,
zoppity boopity boppity.
take a look at this wondrous place, would you? A secret city built deep in the mountains many hundreds of years ago.
It's beautiful.
Indeed. More importantly, consider the miraculous community we've built here over the last 7 months. 22 complete strangers brought together by the fates, living and working together in our own little paradise. And in all
There's only
that
22 of you
time,
guys?
not a single sin has been committed. No fights, no theft, nothing. Have you ever witnessed something so extraordinary as a city without sin?
Well, if you're asking you Bill Cosby, you're asking the wrong person. Can't say I have.
Nor could I until I came here. But the reason for this miracle is as simple as it is terrifying. If even one person commits a sin here, every last one of us will die. You see, the builders of this place, whoever they were, left inscriptions warning, "The many shall suffer for the sins of the one." From what we can gather, breaking the law here will anger the gods and provoke a terrible punishment. Like the curses of Medusa and Midas combined, turning us all to gold. We've come to call it the Golden Rule. It's extraordinary that we've survived as long as we have, and each day I grow more and more afraid that our time in the sun is almost up. And now it seems that day is finally here. All that matters is that somebody in this city is about to break the Golden Rule. Why else would Proserpina send you now? Unless you and I can stop them, our doom is assured. I know that's a lot to take in, and you look like you have questions. Please, ask away.
What do you mean when you said Proserpina sent me?
You see, in my search for a way to save my people, I learned of an ancient ritual to Proserpina, the goddess of the
Proserpina,
cycle
of course.
life and renewal. It's said to open a doorway in time so that if the unthinkable happens, one person can pass through it and travel back to the past. And when I saw you arrive in a flash of light from the goddess's shrine, I knew that person was you. You don't belong in our time, do you?
What made me say that? My tacky sweaters? You're right. I'm from 2,000 years in the future.
2,000 years? That is unfathomable. Please, tell me, in your time, what did you see? What had become of us? Of this city?
You'd all been turned into golden statues.
I have imagined it, our downfall 1,000 times. But it still breaks my heart to hear the truth of it.
Why can't we understand each other? I don't speak Latin.
You mean you couldn't speak Latin before you arrived here? How strange. But the gods are active here, and their temples and shrines hum with power like nowhere else in the Empire. Perhaps when Proserpina brought you here, she planted the seed of Latin in your mind so that you could better serve her.
Awesome.
Indeed.
So, alright, let's start off here. What counts as a sin here?
An intelligent question. There was a good deal of debate about that in our first weeks here. Does it refer to crimes or to some other ill-defined wrong? Of course, everyone agrees on the basics. No theft, no assault, and certainly no murder.
No
But
pineapple
beyond
on
that,
pizza.
It was more difficult to reach a consensus. What about lying, insulting someone, blasphemy, trespass, trying to escape, bribery, infidelity, suicide?
Putting the
As
toilet paper
magistrate,
on
I had
wrong
to exercise
and the roller.
leadership, and so I made a decision. We must uphold the laws of the Empire to a standard never before seen. And we must honor the peace of the gods, the sacred accord between the gods and the people of Rome. It is only by offering the gods the proper respect that we may prosper, as Rome has for centuries.
I'm not sure if that's a good idea. What is legal isn't always moral. Many of your laws and customs are considered barbaric where I come from.
Barbaric? Barbaric? What are you talking about? The Empire is the most civilizing force in the known world. Rome is a beacon of light in the darkness. For 800 years she has borne great statesmen, philosophers, poets, artists, and engineers.
Until she didn't.
We have comprehensive laws protecting the rights of our citizens, which have unified countless warring tribes all across the Mediterranean and beyond, from Gallia to Judea.
What a simp.
All our citizens are treated the
Such a Rome
same,
simp.
regardless of the color of their skin or their sexual preference. Can you say the same? When our people are starving, they are given food rations, and when they are wronged, they have the right to bring the guilty party before the magistrate. Our laws forbid treason, murder, assault, and rape, as well as theft and arson, and so on. No other civilization in the world is so advanced, and you have the hubris to call us barbaric?
So that whole decimation thing that was brought up before. Don't you practice collective punishment?
Are you talking about our practice of decimation? Of course. We could hardly unite all these warring tribes without a disciplined, formidable legion.
Where I'm from, we consider that important.
Well, right now, you're a long, long way from home. I have made my pronouncement on the subject. Unfortunately, there are still those here who resist, whispering blasphemous and treasonous lies in the shadows. I would be keeping a close eye on them if I were you.
How does the ritual work?
All I can tell you is that it's a ritual sacrifice to Proserpina. I stumbled across instructions.
A manual?
I have to recite a prayer, and of course, as with all rituals, some sacrifice is involved. Usually that means wine or food, or in some cases a live animal. In this case, the sacrifice is rather more costly. The life of the person performing the ritual. I don't suppose you saw any sign of me in the future?
I did see human remains in the temple.
I assume that was me.
I might have stepped on you on the way here.
If I'm forced to perform the
Sorry
ritual,
about that.
it's going to cost me everything. You'll try to make sure I don't need to use it, won't you?
I'll do my best.
Well, I suppose that's all I can ask for.
Why can't you investigate?
Well, I believe you're in the best position to go around asking people questions. You're new here, and it'll seem perfectly normal. As for me, well, it pains me to say my attempts to impose order have not earned me many friends. I fear I may not even remain magistrate after today's election. The people here would only treat my curiosity with suspicion. You shouldn't have that problem, though, unless, of course, you get off on the wrong foot.
Fair enough. Do you have any suspects?
Do you ever stare at a problem for so long that you can't see it for what it is anymore? What's
Like my
needed
own
here
life?
is a fresh pair of eyes. The less I prejudice the independence of your investigation, the better.
And I know you're not the person responsible.
Me? Why would you suspect me? I've just told you, I'm about to sacrifice my own life to ensure these people have a second chance. What reason could you possibly have to suspect me, of all people?
Fair point.
I'm glad you think so. Without trust, without each other, we won't be able to prevent.
I don't
what is
trust
about
nobody,
to
not
happen.
even myself. You especially shouldn't trust Bill Cosby. I'll let you know that. Alright. If I do this, will you help me get back in my own time?
If I understand Proserpina's ritual correctly, that problem should take care of itself. Let me see if I can explain. If you manage to prevent the sin that breaks the Golden Rule, I won't need to bring you here. I won't create the portal, and you will never have been able to come here. Thus, you'll have created a paradox. If this occurs, you should be flung back to your own time, having changed the past for all of us. Make sense?
Let's not think too hard about that. Because then you get to the whole paradox, because if a paradox shouldn't be able to happen to begin with, right? So if you create one, well, it shouldn't be possible. Alright. That's all the questions I had.
Ah, good. So, are you with me? Can I count on you to figure out who's about to break the Golden Rule?
It doesn't seem like I have much choice.
No, I don't suppose you do. But I'm hoping that even if you're not burdened with a sense of self-sacrifice, you'll at least see the sense in self-preservation.
Good point. I mean,
Wonderful. Now, I need you to investigate the city, talk to everyone, help them if it'll win their trust. I authorize you to enter private homes and inspect possessions and documents, unless, of course, you're asked to leave. Figure out who the culprit is, and as soon as you have a name, come back and tell me immediately.
okay. Giving me all that power suddenly is going to be very suspicious, I think. But okay.
Oh, and one last thing. If I were you, I'd start my investigation by visiting Lucretia at the Shrine of Apollo in the Forum. I heard wailing from there not long ago. Seems like something's not
You guys have whales here? Nice. This will prioritize the new quest, showing its objective markers only. And I'll see what I can do. Right, okay. Press Y to check your quest journal and inventory anytime. Okay. To see the objective marker for a given quest. Okay. Golden Rule. Alright, point of origin. I've traveled thousands of years to the past. I need to find a way back to my original timeline. So I have to create a time paradox. Okay. Figure out who is most likely to break the Golden Rule and inform Sentius. Okay. Learn about the Golden Rule. Leads. Something's wrong with the Shrine of Apollo. Find out what's distressing Lucretia. Okay. You see some of the Skyrim elements here. Note from Scintilla. I'm sure he won't mind. Scintilla. This is exactly like in Skyrim. You can tell it was a mod originally. Scintilla to Sentius. May Jupiter Optimus Maximus continue to protect and guide you. Thank you for making me your daughter and for the lovely birthday pendant. I promise will wear it always. I feel so safe and fortunate to have you as my father and Sentia as my sister. I sense you've been feeling apprehensive about the election next month, but if you can just show them the strong, dependable man I know you to be, you'll be re-elected. I'm sure of it. You know politics, kid. Hello.
Ugh, I wish Horatius would stop letting barbarians in here. What do you want?
What'd you call me? What's your story?
I'm Sentia, eldest daughter of the magistrate. But you'd know that if you'd been invited in here and introduced properly. What are you doing in here? And why are you dressed like that?
Why are you fucking cross-eyed? Huh? Charming. What do you know about the Golden Rule?
You know, some people say it's the creation of an all-seeing god who's watching everything we do. But what kind of an awful, incompetent god would let my sister go missing on his or her watch?
Fair question.
Did you hear that? Curse you, you coward! Where is my sister? What do you have to say for yourself? No response. Nothing. That's what I thought.
And that's how God usually operates. Well, at least we know blasphemy doesn't break the Golden Rule.
I'm telling you, this mysterious god of ours has to be asleep on the job. Either that, or, like people are saying, it really is just a children's fable my father is exploiting to frighten us into behaving.
I don't know about that. I saw the golden people on the way here. I suppose we'll find out sooner or later.
I suppose we will.
Do you know way out of here?
Ugh, what is it with you people?
What do you mean, you
heard
people?
The rumor that my little sister escaped and figure I must know a way out too. Is that it? Well, that's just a stupid rumor. We have no idea what happened to Scintilla. I wish you mouth breathers would just leave me alone.
Well, how else am I gonna breathe? Alright, can I help?
I don't know. Can you? Can you tell me how a person could have disappeared from a city with no exits and no crime? Was she snatched away by the harpies?
Your father didn't mention any of this when I spoke to him. Any idea why?
That doesn't surprise me. To him, it was like a prize cow wandering off from its paddock. He's upset, of course, but he says he's too busy with the election to help look for her. So he's letting Horatius do the heavy lifting. Some good that's done.
When did you last see her?
It was 3 weeks ago. We ate our evening meal together, and I remember she seemed happy. In love. We went into our rooms, I went to sleep, and when I woke up, she was gone. That's it.
She was seeing someone.
I think so, yes. But she was very careful about keeping his identity a secret, even from me.
Naruhodo. Is it possible her lover was involved?
I don't know. But it's been 3 weeks since she disappeared, and he hasn't come forward. That might speak to a guilty conscience. All I know is, whoever he is, he's still here in the city.
Sentia, Scintilla, why are your names all so similar?
You really aren't from here, are you? All Roman women are named after their fathers. I think it's their way of branding us, like cattle to be sold at market. His family name is Sentius, so I'm Sentia because I'm the eldest. And my little sister is formerly Sentia Minor, but she is affectionately known as Scintilla.
She actually isn't that relaxed, from what I can tell. She's been bitching all day, so I won't ask that question. That's all the questions I had.
So you'll help me find her?
Alright, I'll do it.
Oh, thank you. You should probably take a look through her room. It's the one just by the front door. Maybe you'll find something the rest of us missed.
Okay. I'll get right on it.
Thank you.
It's nearby, so I might as well. Let's see. Scintilla's chest. Nope, we're not going to steal. Cosmetic jar. A brass jar containing some sort of powder for makeup. We got is a vial, probably a mana potion, isn't it? Small vial containing rudimentary perfume made from flowers and oil. You don't fool me. That's a magic potion. Brass mirror. You've heard of black mirror, but have you heard of brass mirror? The brass has been polished into a rudimentary mirror, which has been used for applying makeup. Yeah, I know, it seems like it could use more polishing to me. Oh, I can crouch. Ink jar? Ceramic ink jar. The ink appears to be made from soot and water. Oh wait, maybe I can look around it and find something of use? Oh, a note from Scintilla. Scintilla, to Sentius and Sentia. May Clementia give you the strength to forgive me. I am sorry to have leave you this way, but I have found a way to escape, and I must take it. I hope we meet again someday. You're telling me Sentia didn't fucking look at this? No one? Okay. Tap back for a guide forward to your objective marker. Oh, so it shows me where to go. Okay.
What have you discovered?
I found a letter in her room, which mentioned her plans to escape.
What? Really? I swear, I searched her room top to bottom and never saw that. I wonder how I could have missed it. Strange, but well done, I suppose. But it's odd. It was only a few months ago that Scentilla's friend Yulia let slip she was planning an escape of her own. And yet, Yulia's still here. You should go and speak with her. Find out if she knows anything. She lives in the villa next door.
No, something seems suspicious about that. How the fuck could, like, Sentia miss that? Maybe she planted it for me. Well, maybe I'm getting bamboozled, yeah. Should have thought about that. It's too late now. So... Where's this lol chick? Ask Lilia about Sentia. She said Lilia might... Okay, so the game's telling me I have to figure out where the hell Lilia is myself. What the? Is this an invisible wall? Little fuck? Oh, here.
Ah, you've returned. Do you have any news about your investigation?
Nothing to discuss right now. Better get back to it.
Thank you. I'll be waiting here for news.
Okay. She doesn't need that money, does she? I mean, she already left. Let me check here, actually. Is there anything else? Sentia's journal. Dear Diary, today my father suggested I write a diary as a way of keeping myself occupied while we all deal with the sudden devastating disappearance of my sister. As a dutiful daughter, of course, I shall oblige. The following pages contain my innermost secrets. Okay. Summary: Sentia believes everyone is entitled to their secrets. I know you're reading this, Father. I may be young, but do not think me stupid. We're all entitled to our secrets, Sentia. The hell's that? Brass mirror. Just money. Okay. Ooh, bust. Sculpture of Ares, Greek god of war, also known Romans as Mars.
On your best behavior, I trust?
Maybe. Inspect the stove. No doubt unpleasant cooking with such poor ventilation, but Romans probably regard that as their servant's problem. Okay. Oh, Horatius.
Fear is proof of a degenerate mind. What now?
Okay. Let me ask him.
I'm a legionary of the First Italica, but there's not a lot of fighting down here. So the magistrate has assigned me other duties. I act as the magistrate's right-hand man, keeping an eye on his daughter, I should say, and the others, and making sure they're all behaving. I also keep a register of new arrivals.
How did you end up here?
I'm from Liguria, up north originally. I was doing all right for myself. 12 years into my service. Had a nice girl lined up for when it was all over. Not anymore. She's probably figured I'm long gone and moved on by now. I try not to think about it. My commander sent me to deliver a message to Rome. While I was there, I thought I'd do something nice for my girl and pick up a little pendant from a silversmith. That's when the crowd started flooding through the streets, shouting fire. People were screaming, trampling each other. Then some Genetricum fugitive tried to take advantage of the chaos and pinch my pendant. I remember chasing him through the crowds, down towards the river. And then, nothing. Blacked out and woke up near here. No idea how I ended up floating so far downriver. But I'm fortunate to be alive, I suppose.
Sorry to hear that.
Ah, don't be. As Seneca the Younger said, difficulty strengthens the mind, as labor does the body. That said, Scintilla's disappearance has been more difficult than I'd care to admit.
Can we talk about Scintilla?
What business is that of yours?
I'm looking for her.
A lot of people have been looking for her. But it's been 3 weeks, and we've found nothing. What makes you think you can do better?
Some fresh eyes help.
I suppose that's true.
Do you notice anything suspicious before she went missing?
Scintilla was always a kind, well-behaved young woman. I admit, her disappearance really caught me off guard. If anyone knows something, I'd expect it to be Sentia, Malleolus, Claudia, or Domitius. But none of them will tell me anything. You might fare better though, I suppose.
Let's talk about something else. What can you tell me about the magistrate?
He's one of the better commanders I've ever had. That's for sure. Good stoic. Lives by Seneca's words. Treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Can't ask for much more than that.
What do you know about the Golden Rule?
Well, as I always say, it's kind of like a divine version of the practice of decimation in the Legion. By threatening to execute 1 in 10 men, the idea is to ensure order and discipline among everyone. And it works. If you knew you could be executed because your brother-in-arms is planning a mutiny, well, you'd bloody well watch him like hundred-eyed Argus, wouldn't you? Because your only chance of saving yourself is to stop bad things before they happen. Makes us all responsible for keeping each other in check. It's brutal, of course, but effective. The Legion wouldn't be the most formidable force in the world without it.
You're saying you're in favor of it?
What's done is done. I was forced to execute my brothers in arms, and those memories will always visit me in my sleep. But life is harsh, and I've come to accept my lot. As with the Golden Rule, I don't have any control over it. So railing against it would be like trying to stop the seasons or the tides. As Seneca the Younger wrote, True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient. For he that is so wants nothing.
Let's not start a fight here. Let's talk about something else.
If you like.
Okay. Can I see the Citizens Register?
I don't see why not. Just make sure I get it back by tomorrow.
Neat. Hey. Okay, Aurelia, Commoner, Claudia, Decius, Commoner, Damascus, Lucius. I'm not reading all of these, but it might be good for reference later if I have to look up someone. So these are all the people in the game. How come I'm not on here? Where am I? Where's Bill Cosby? You didn't put me on here yet? Alright, thanks.
Of course.
I'll just go ahead and put my name in it. Okay. Okay. It'd be rude to ask him. Okay.
All right.
Alright.
Please keep an eye out for anything that might lead us to Scintilla.
Are they?
Okay, let's see. As residents ask Lulia. And the game's saying I can go that way. Let's try asking this person here. Oh, I should probably save the game too. Stranger.
What were you two talking about?
Sorry, what?
Don't play dumb. I saw you. Having a shady little chat with old man Sentius up on his balcony. What's he offering you? Money? Favours? What's your vote worth to him?
We weren't talking about the election.
What else would you be murmuring about on election day? Mark my words, Malleolus is going to be magistrate by the end of the day. And if I tell him you sided with that feeble old has-been, that you've been trying to undermine his hard-won victory, you'll have picked the wrong patron. Got it?
I don't care about the election.
Good. Then stay out of it. Nobody likes Caput Murday foreigners interfering in an election.
Did you call me? Fine. Mind if I ask some questions?
Can't hurt.
What's your story?
The name's Domitius. You want to get to Malleolus, you go through me.
Why are you dressed like a gladiator?
Why? Because I am a gladiator. That's why.
Okay, but you're nowhere near an arena.
You want to see me fight? Keep running your mouth, fatuous cunners.
You just called me a cunt? Fuck? Okay. What do you know about the Golden Rule?
I think it's gone on long enough, and Malleolus is going to put an end to it once he's elected.
How's he going to do that?
He's going to announce it in his victory speech. Just you wait and see.
Why can't you tell me now?
Because if I tell you, and it gets out, it'll give old man Sentius a chance to interfere in our plans. And we can't have that.
That's great. Can I help in some way?
We've already lined up the votes he needs to win. Just stay out of our way, and we won't have a problem.
Alright. Let's see. You know anything about Scintilla's disappearance?
Listen, I don't abduct women. They come to me.
Sure.
And they keep coming back, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so, I think I know what you mean. I need to speak with Lilia.
She's not here.
Where is she?
Had to carry her to Lucretia's clinic this morning. Shrine of Apollo. She was acting sick. Faking it, if you ask me. Typical.
Alright, I'll be going now.
Whatever. Just remember, I'll be watching.
Shrine of Apollo, huh? See. Describe tone, tone, persistence, register. Is there a map? I could use a map. Okay. So either way, we're going to the Shrine of Apollo. This is the way. Okay. It's locked. Well, I guess we're not going here then. Creeper vines. These might be climbable if only they could support my weight. Did I just say I was fat? Okay. I wish I had a better mental image of my body. I wish I had better self-esteem. Let me in! Let me in!
Hey! You're not thinking about going into the cistern, are you?
I wasn't, but now I am.
Contrary little cap at murder, aren't you?
Why should I go down there?
Nobody's told you about Hannibal. Ugh, why do I have to do everything round here? So, there was this guy called Hannibal, right? Funny accent. Used to go down into the cisterns looking for junk he could clean up and sell. One day, a few weeks back, he comes out and tells me the cisterns are haunted. Said he could hear spirits wailing. Of course, nobody believed him, because who trusts a Carthaginian, right? Anyway, a few days later, he goes back in. And hours go by, and he hasn't come back out, yeah? So I go down after him, and it's dark. But in the distance, I can just make out his body, sprawled out on the ground. And hunched over him was something that made my blood run cold. No word of a lie. I saw a creature. Like the corpse of a man who'd been flayed. And it was eating Hannibal.
How ironic. Wouldn't that have broken the golden rule?
If it was a man, maybe. But I swear on my life this was no man. More like a Strix. Or some Versipelus that feeds on human flesh. I didn't stick around to see which.
What did he do?
What any sane person would have done. I legged it out of there and put a sign at the door to warn the others.
Maybe I'll give it a miss.
Good idea.
Let me check here instead then. I don't know. I'm trying to find... I'm just trying to find the Shrine of Apollo. I'm lost.
A new face. Ave, and may Vesta watch over you. I'm Equitia. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit?
What's your story?
Oh my. I take it people are quite direct where you're from. I suppose it's quite charming in its own way. Usually, however, you wouldn't simply march up to a Vestal priestess and without due formality or courtesy ask, "What is your story?"
Sorry, what should I have done?
The proper approach would be to arrange an introduction through a mutual acquaintance in high office, by which time you would already know how to address me. And then you would find a way to satisfy your curiosity rather more indirectly. But to be honest, I've often thought what an unnecessarily formal way to communicate that is. So, let's do it your way. You just keep being yourself and ask whatever you like. It'll be a refreshing change.
How did you end up here?
You know, I'm not entirely sure. But what about you? How did you end up here?
A young woman named Karen dragged me out of a river, unconscious, sent me in here.
Karen, you say? And nothing about that name seemed odd to you?
It carries negative connotations where I'm from. It's an older name, but not uncommon where I'm from.
Older. I see. I wonder if... No.
What are you going to say?
I apologize. I don't mean to be cryptic. It's just that you've got me thinking. Have you spoken with any of the others about how they arrived here too? I really think you should. Go around and ask them what they remember, and see if you notice any patterns.
You're being a bit coy.
I know. I just don't want to see what happened to Livia happen to you, too.
Well, not to ask about Livia.
Up until a few weeks ago, she was a perfectly productive member of our little community, darning clothes and cutting hair. She was always so chatty, always seeking out newcomers and asking them where they were from and how they wound up here. And then, about a month ago, she suddenly changed. She withdrew, stopped working and became despondent, started muttering to herself. Galerius and I visited her to see how we could help, but she just looked at us with this haunted stare, called us bloodless shadows, and told us we were ignorant of some pattern. Look, it could be unrelated. Perhaps she simply fell ill. Or, as Galerius suggested, the weight of the Golden Rule was too much for her. But there is a small chance that she learned something, saw a pattern nobody else saw, and that it broke her. I just don't want to see that happen to you. So be careful, will you?
Now be careful.
Thank you. Now, go and follow the thread of truth through this labyrinth, and come back to me if you discover any patterns.
I'll see what I can do. What do you think about the Golden Rule?
I'm quite sure it's the work of the gods, which is strange because they've never been particularly concerned with our misdeeds, as long as we've kept the peace of the gods. We asked for blessings, for good health, bountiful harvest, military victory, and in return, we offer praise, wine, incense, or animals.
Equivalent exchange,
But here,
yeah.
It seems they require much more of us. I find myself reminded of an especially pertinent tale from our great poet Ovid in his epic Metamorphoses. Would you like to hear it? It is rather long.
Is there a short version?
I suppose so. Jupiter and Mercury put a town to the test by disguising themselves as vagrants and asking for shelter there. Everyone turned them away and failed that test, except for an old couple named Baucis and Philemon, and so the gods gave them time to escape and granted them a wish, and then wiped that town off the map. Some say the moral of that story is that we must all honor the sacred rituals of guest friendship, the reciprocal obligations owed between hosts and guests. But I like to think it's that we should always show compassion for those less fortunate than ourselves.
Or perhaps it's that the gods might kill you at any moment for failing their test, and they don't even have to tell you what the rules are.
A cynic philosopher might take that view, but it's not entirely invalid, I suppose.
The gods are always testing us, aren't they? Do you know a way out of here?
I don't, I'm afraid. It seems to me we're exiled here until the gods judge us, one way or another.
What's the status of the election?
It must be completed by dusk, just the same as any other official business. It'll be between Sentius, the incumbent, and Malleolus, the challenger. Why do you ask?
There's a lot of vote.
All of the male citizens who are willing and able to attend, unless they're running, of course.
The woman can't vote?
That's just the way it's always been, I'm afraid. It never sat right with me, either. There are some women who can vote, Vestal priestesses like myself, but in this case, given my role overseeing the election, I've decided to abstain. I can't allow the perception that I'm being anything but fair and independent, but if it's any consolation, there are other ways to influence the outcome of an election.
Russia? Such as...
By using whatever gifts the gods gave you. Nothing untoward, of course.
Oh. Yeah, I don't really care that much.
Certainly.
Alright, I'll be going
Come
on.
back to me once you've acquainted yourself with the rest of our neighbors.
Hold on, let me see what's up here. Sculpture in Monera, the Roman gods of strategy. Okay. Literally just copy and pasted the same kitchen area. Note to Octavia. An anonymous friend to Octavia, who may the Lord bless and keep you. I am sorry I could not risk discussing this with you in person, but if I am right, then you're a believer like me. You may not be able to worship openly here, but I know you're not alone. If you ever feel like you need somewhere to pray, there is a special place waiting for you here, deep behind the theater. Turn right first fork, and again in a second. Okay. Directions to a secret shrine. Enter the caves from behind here. Okay. I'm not going to remember that, but I'll at least know the notes were there. It's still locked. I'm gonna ask you about the door.
What now?
You know a way out of here?
When Malleolus wins the election, yeah? This place will change. You won't even want to leave. You'll see. Whatever. Just remember, I'll be watching.
Okay.
Are they?
Let me see if I can tell whatever her name about the door being locked.
What have you discovered?
See.
Oh, I see. Of course. What have you discovered?
Nothing yet.
Yes, please do.
What now? I went around asking the same questions when I first arrived.
Any way out?
Never
Let's
did
see.
find a way out. But I learned how to accept my situation. To bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden. That's from Seneca the Younger, if you're interested.
I'm not. Okay.
All right. Please keep an eye out for anything that might lead us to Scintilla.
Are they?
Been through here. Which way should we go? It's all the same, I think. Ask residents of the villas. Which place is the villas? Is it this way? We got bot. First time chat from viewer. We got a bot. Let me see what I can do here. Let me time it. Ban. There we go. Vanishing Act. Shrine of Apollo. It's still pulling me this way for the Shrine of Apollo.
What now?
Alright then. I guess that means we have to go to the cistern. Oh yeah, I still have a flashlight with me. I should probably save the game here.
Please.
Okay, guess we can't go through there. Let me tell if let me ask the magistrate.
Citizen? Ah, you've returned. Do you have any news about your investigation?
What's your story?
Sextus Sentius Imperiosus is my name. though magistrate is the proper way to address me. Before I wound up here, I was a decurion in the cavalry of Imperial Rome, helping protect civilization from the barbarians.
How did you end up here?
My men and I were at the Emporium in Rome as honor guard for a visiting dignitary arriving upriver by barge. Now, the port is usually bustling, but just as our guests arrived, waves of people began running toward the river from streets and alleyways in every direction. They were trying to escape a terrible fire. Unfortunately, the crowd sent my horse into a panic, and I remember it losing its footing by the water's edge. The next thing I knew, I was waking up on a riverbank not far from here in the company of some stranger. I went looking for my horse and discovered that lonely temple. You can probably figure out the rest.
Talk about
Very
something
well.
else? No way
If
I...
I did, I'd have led these people out of here already.
What do you think about the Golden Rule?
I've had plenty of time to think about it. Let me see if I can sum up my thoughts. I've always considered my guiding star to be the well-being of the Roman people. Our survival and prosperity have always hinged upon honoring the peace of the gods, the sacred accord between the gods and the people of Rome. Give the gods what they want and we all prosper. Dishonor them and we all die. It's as simple as that. The real enemy in this place is not the Golden Rule, but human failings. The temptation to slide into degeneracy, greed, and hubris.
What's wrong with that?
I trust that answers your question. Thank you. I'll be waiting here for news.
Save game. You're guiding me to a dead end, though. Is there any way to... Is there another way around? Nope, there isn't. Alright. Let's do something else then. Oh. Obtain a bow. Flesh arrow. I'm locking myself in. Don't try to follow me. Nothing good will come of it. Navia. Oh, fuck, fire. A bow. I'm trying. Is there one nearby? Oh, they don't need that. Maybe I just buy a bow. What does it say? Graffiti. To survive, we must all be kind. Corrected to, we must all be wise. Corrected to, we must all be obedient. And finally corrected to, we must all be question, question, question.
Salve, friend. Salve, friend. I'm Octavia. Welcome to life under the Golden Rule. It's a ghastly thing, is it not? How are you faring so far?
I'm fine, thanks.
Ah, another stoic, perhaps. We all need something to help us through times like these. We've all been where you are now. I remember when I first arrived. I used to lay awake at night contemplating the big questions. Why am I here? Is there a way out?
Who asked?
What is the Golden Rule, and who or what is responsible for it? I still don't have any of the answers, I'm afraid. I don't think anybody does. But I'm happy to share with you what I've learned.
Alright, I'll ask. What's your story?
Here, in this place, the magistrate has me earning my keep by cleaning and pruning the gardens. It's not quite how I expected my life to go. I used to live in a lovely villa on the banks of the Tiber. I was even betrothed to a handsome young man from a prominent family. But long hours of menial labor for the good of the community has its own charms too, I suppose.
How did you end up here?
Oh, much the same way as many of the others. When the fires came to Rome 7 months ago, my family and I fled for the Tiber, hoping to escape on a barge. We were among the fortunate ones with enough coins for passage, but unfortunately, there were a lot of desperate people, and they boarded before we could depart. A scuffle broke out, and I was pushed overboard. The last thing I remember was the water, rising up to hit my cheekbone. I woke up by the river, near that shrine, and stumbled across this place.
People mention river, yep. Sorry to hear that.
Oh, that's all right. I'm sure it's all part of God's plan for me.
God's plan. Gods? God, don't you mean gods?
Oh yes, of course. A slip of the tongue.
Let's talk about something
If
else.
you like.
So, you're a Christian.
Please keep that to yourself. I know you're not from around here, but things are very difficult for us right now. There was a terrible fire in Rome last year, and our emperor decided to make us his scapegoats. There were executions. It was horrible.
Your secret's safe with me.
Oh, thank you. You have no idea how much I appreciate that.
You know a way out of here?
I'm afraid not. Although, I did once hear someone gossiping down at Aurelia's tavern about a possible way out. I don't put a lot of stock in such rumors, but if you're desperate and wealthy, you could look into it, I suppose. If that doesn't work, then I suppose we're all stuck here until the gods decide our fate.
I'll look into it.
I hope it works out.
What do you think about the golden rule?
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one. I think about those words a lot.
All for
I'd
one,
like
one
to
for
think
all.
that if we all love our neighbours as ourselves and do to them as we'd have them do to us, then we'll all be fine. But on the other hand, I was always taught the intent of man's heart is evil from his youth, and that all of us are born with a tendency towards sin.
It is
And
pretty
that's
fun
where
to
I
sin.
get stuck. Is it true? Are we born with a tendency towards sin?
Wait, what?
Ulpius, no!
Oh, I was wondering what was that about. Oh no. What are we going to do? Well, let's follow her. Maybe we could have done things differently and talked to Ulpius first. That's fine though. This is part of the game. We'll see the repercussions of Ulpius dying then. I'll try not to undo too many things in my decisions. Unless I like fundamentally feel like I made a choice I didn't want to make. We will stick with what happens as it happens. Shit. I need a flashlight. What? I thought she was running to find the body. Interesting. Oh. This is the Christian shit. That's why she went to pray. And she didn't want anyone to find out that she was praying to her Christian God. Alright. Let me not get ahead of myself here. Let's run back.
Arve again. Did you find what you need?
I've been asking people about how they wound up here.
And did you notice anything? A pattern?
Some people mentioned a river.
Yes. I understand many of our friends were carried here by a river current. What else?
That's all I noticed.
There are definitely some common threads there. But I think we'll need at least a few to ensure we're not just seeing coincidences. Keep asking people how they wound up here. I don't want us to rush to any conclusions yet. Livia's fate weighs heavily on my mind and dictates we should be sure. Yes, you should ask the others first. Come back to me once you've acquainted yourself with the rest of our neighbors.
Let's go back up here. Follow him? Really? Hold on. Let me try this out, actually. What happens if I jump?
Thank you. Thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. Magistrate. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. I'm delighted and
oh.
And now, I make this solemn promise to you, good citizens. And now, I make this solemn promise to you, good citizens.
Note from Ulpius. Ulpius to his lost love. May God watch over you. Please know that I held on as long as I could, but without you, my life is meaningless. I only hope we can meet again in Gan Eden. Note from Lulia. Okay, Lulia to her captors, Milius and Claudia, curse you to the depths. By the time you read this, I'll already be dead, because death is preferable to another day in bondage to you. May vultures peck out your livers in Tartarus for all eternity. Okay, so Lily is dead. Okay. I was going to ask Lily about Sentia's escape plan, but I think the suicide note indicates that she's not going to be able to do that. Same copy and pasted kitchen again. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. Magistrate. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. I'm delighted and deeply honored to be elected your magistrate. And now, I make this solemn promise to you, good citizens. Did you just leap into my villa from the balcony 100 feet above? That was either extremely reckless or impressively clever. Well, why have you risked life and limb to see me?
I was actually just doing it for the hell of it. What's your story?
I'm Malleolus, and if it wasn't for this interruption, I'd be practicing my victory speech for the election later today.
What do you do if you win?
I'm glad you asked. I'll finally restore freedom to this city, just as I've been promising. These good people have suffered long enough under Sentius's tyranny.
How will you do that?
By declaring there's no such thing as the Golden Rule. It's a children's fable exploited by Sentius to frighten us into submission. Wait, don't tell me you've fallen victim to that monstrous lie?
What makes you think it's not real?
The person making a claim bears the onus of proving that claim. Can you do that? Can you prove the Golden Rule is real?
Let's talk about something else.
As you wish.
Do you know a way out
I'm
here?
afraid not. We're stuck down here together, for better or worse. We're all going to have to make the best of it.
Do you know anything about Scintilla's disappearance?
Of course not. But as I always say, if Sentius can't protect his daughter, how can we trust him to protect this city?
Why aren't you telling me?
Look, if you're trying to find her, you may wish to check the cisterns beneath this villa. Domitius says he saw a body there some weeks back. Of course, just to be clear, I take no responsibility for what happens to you down there.
Okay, so I do have to go through the cistern. Alright.
I trust you can see yourself out. Through the door this time. There's a key just beside it.
Let me see if there's anything else. Here. Anything here I can read? Just doing some investigation work here. Let me check upstairs. Or if there's a way in. So someone in there is crying, but it's locked. Okay. Excellent. We unlocked the door this time. Now let's see if I can use that same key for this door. Yeah, we can.
You're not supposed to be in here.
Can we talk?
Talk? What business could you possibly have with me?
Why are you locked in this room?
My marital affairs are no concern of yours. Thank you very much.
What's your story?
I think a better question is, why am I being interrogated by a stranger who just barged into my villa? I have quite enough marriage trouble already, without having to explain to my husband why I am receiving strange men in private.
Let's see. No way out here?
Preferably the way you came in, by which I mean, please leave.
What do you think about the golden rule?
I think it's about to be broken if you don't hurry up and leave.
You know anything about Scintilla's disappearance?
The dainty little thing from next door. Of course not. As much as I despise her father, I would never lay a finger on that poor, sweet child.
I think you're hiding something.
Well, I've had quite enough of this.
Domitius, come quickly. We're being robbed.
He's still doing push-ups. Well, in that case, let me run and collect any evidence in her room. Anything here? Nothing. Just money. Bus. Ink jar. Okay. Just looking for evidence.
Oi! How did you get in there, you cheeky little stirkers? If I cop an earful from Malleolus, I'll be coming for you.
Are they?
Okay. Let's talk to the sister again.
What have you discovered? Oh, I see. Of course. What have you discovered? Yes, please do.
But Lilia looks like
Fresh
she
meat,
committed.
huh?
As far as I know, she committed suicide, right? Like,
You again. What is it now?
How are we going now?
I trust you can see yourself out. Through the door this time? There's a...
Let's see.
What now?
Shrine of Apollo's over there.
Isn't the great temple majestic?
We'll focus on this one while we just, yeah, isn't Lilia dead then? Like, I can't ask Lilia anything if she's dead.
Give me a moment. Sorry I'm such a mess. I just lost a patient and a dear friend. Yulia. She was a good woman.
What happened?
She was poisoned. She came in here frothing at the mouth. Normally I'd treat her with resin of silphium, a rare plant which is perfect for this sort of thing. And I knew Decius had some at his market stall, right around the corner. So I ran over there, but he just looks at me with this evil smile and says, "That'll be 1,000 denarii." There was no way I could afford that, and he knew it. Then that toad shrugs and says, "Supply and demand. I guess you don't value your friend's life that highly." Anywhere else, I'd just pay a thug to steal it from his stall. But there's no way I can do that down here with the golden rule. So all I could do is come back here and just watch her die. I kept on apologizing. And now I'll never know who poisoned her, or how they managed to do it without breaking the golden rule, or why she cursed that snake's cruel black eyes with her dying breath.
Is there something I can do to help?
Well, unless you have the power to bring someone back from the dead, there's really just one thing you can do. get me that Sylphium resin. I'm going to have another patient in here soon. Could be in the next day or in the next hour. And I will not allow this to happen again. I don't care how you get it, but you have to make it happen. Because if I lose another patient this way, I swear to the gods below, not even the Golden Rule will stop me from marching up to that Genetricum Fututo and scratching his eyes out.
Let's see what I can do. What's your story?
I'm Lucretia, and I'm going to be straight with you. I'm not a physician. This is Nevia's clinic. I've just been filling in ever since she disappeared. I'm tired and out of my depth and miserable all the time. But I'd rather take this on myself than let one of you lot mess it up.
How'd you end up here?
My husband and I moved to Rome from Caesarea. He embraced the Roman way more than I would have liked and turned into an awful philanderer. I would have divorced him and demanded the return of my dowry, but I knew he would sooner have me killed than give me my right. So I waited for the right time to take what was mine and disappear. And then the fires came. As he prepared to evacuate our villa, I gathered our most precious belongings, coins and gemstones, and the moment his back was turned, I ran. I could barely see for the smoke, and the streets were full of people trampling each other. I ran for the river, like everyone else, and leapt in. The next thing I remember, I was waking up on a riverbank, not far from here.
Sorry to hear that.
It's all right. Say what you will about this place, at least my fornicating husband will never find me. And while there's no shortage of snakes here, at least with the Golden Rule, they have to try to be discreet about it.
Why are you working out of a shrine?
This shrine was in use as a clinic long before any of us arrived here. Kind of strange to set up a clinic in the temple of the god of disease. But the god who inflicts a curse is also the only god who can undo it. So I suppose praying to Apollo for healing kind of makes sense.
Tell me more about Navia.
Well, she used to run the clinic. She was a midwife, not a physician. But she was the closest thing we had down here. And she was good, too. Until she suddenly lost all interest in us. One day she told me she'd made some profound discovery about the golden statues. This changes everything, she kept saying. But I had no idea what she was talking about. The last time I saw her, the last time any of us saw her, she was muttering to the statues, like she could talk to them. And then she shut herself in the palace, barred the door from the inside, and nobody's seen her since. She's been gone so long now, we figure she's either dead or up to something so strange that she doesn't want anyone else to know about it. But I really wish I could reach her, because that's the only hope I have of solving a troubling problem, a real thorn in the paw situation. One of my patients is suffering from terrible rheumatism. His joints are inflamed, and he's in constant pain.
Go on.
He's become so irritable that the smallest things set him off, and I worry he'll end up losing his temper and lashing out, and you know what that means. I just know Nevia would know how to treat him, assuming she's still alive. But nobody seems to know how to get into the palace.
I'll see what I can do.
Thanks, I suppose. Well, come back if you get sick or injured. Day or night, I'll do what I can.
I hear people talking. What the hell? I have no idea where they are. Ah, fuck it, I missed it. We'll just do this for now. Oh man, there's so many things going on right now. Fuck, we'll just focus on this.
Feeling all right?
Okay, can we talk about Lilia?
Sure. What do you want to know?
Did you hear her say anything about escaping?
How did you know that? Yes, she did mutter something about the only way out. A few times, but nothing more than that, I'm afraid.
Did she use poison or was it self-inflicted?
Do you really want to know? I mean, if somebody poisoned her, then surely they would have broken the golden rule and...
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Uh-oh. False, that's easy. Oops, looks like my time's up. Looper. Loop through time once. Paul sent he's back to try and use his portal again.
Salve, friend. I'm Galerius. Mind telling me who you are and what you were doing in the Shrine of Proserpina?
I'm Bill Cosby, and we had this conversation before.
I don't think so. I've never seen you before in my life.
Your name is Galerius, and you're about to offer to take me to Sentius so he can tell me about the Golden Rule.
Oh, I guess how much did I drink last night? Sorry to have bothered you.
No problem. I have to go.
Oh, and since you seem to be in a hurry, you should try out this device I made. Worked real hard on it.
Zip line handlebar. A rudimentary wooden tool. Okay.
Just attach the pulley to the rope over the lake and hang on to the handles. If it works, it'll be faster than walking. And if it doesn't work, worst thing that can happen is you'll take a swim in the lake. I haven't quite summoned the courage to test it myself. But don't worry, it's completely safe. Probably.
Thanks. I'll be going now.
All right. See you around.
Fear is proof of a degenerate mind.
Okay, let's speak to him now.
We're finally alone. I assume you already know who I am. May I know your name?
Huh. I'm Bill Cosby. We had this conversation before.
We have? Wait, if I understand correctly, someone is about to break the Golden Rule, forcing me to create a portal in time to bring you here? I must have entrusted you with figuring out who the culprit is. Only, I assume we failed, and you had to start over. Is that about right? If so, what happened?
I couldn't stop it from being broken.
Ah, I see. Look, it's unfortunate, but all that matters now is that you make use of what you've learned and gathered and do better next time. Now, I assume you've sought me out again for a reason. Ask then.
Let's ask about questions about the investigation.
Good. Now, was there something else you wanted to discuss?
Can we talk about who's going to break the golden rule?
Of course. What is it? Why then did you say... It doesn't matter. It looks like you'll have to continue your investigation. Now, was there anything else you wanted to ask?
I better get back to it.
Thank you. I'll be waiting here for news.
Okay, save. Okay, so our suspects right now are Lucretia and Malleus. Lucretia swore she killed Odysseus. He continued to withhold life-saving medicine. And Sentius. Malleus wins the election. He'll send Sentius to death for treason. Okay. Let's see, what do I want to pursue first? Let's see if I can run back to Lucretia then.
Fear is proof of
Hey,
a degenerate
Horatius.
mind.
How's it feel knowing your man's doomed?
What are you doing in here? Can't you see this woman is dying? She's been poisoned. She needs the resin of a plant called Silphium, but that Culas cubulates Decius won't give it to me.
Sorry, wish I could help.
It's too late. She just slipped away. She was poisoned. She came in here frothing at the mouth. Normally I'd treat her and I knew this, that, then anyway, so, and... Well, Well, come.
Okay, let's see if I can run to Decius right now.
Are they?
Let me run to Decius and see if I can pursue him.
On your best behavior, I trust.
Hey, Horatius. How's it feel knowing your man's doomed?
He was over here somewhere.
How'd you do? Salve, stranger, and welcome to our idyllic little slice of the Empire. I'm Decius.
What's your story?
And how did I end up here? That is a lengthy tale. All right. Well, you see, I'm in the business of procuring rare and precious objects liberated from the enemies of Rome. Mostly sculptures, vases, the occasional slave, fetch a magnificent price in Roman high society. Had myself a nice little shop in Rome just off the Forum. Lots of foot traffic and close to the docks. Good place to be when the fires broke out. See, about 7 months ago, half of Rome caught on fire. Everyone who couldn't get to an outer gate was running for the river, open to escape by barge. So I gathered my coins and some priceless vases into a cart and had my most loyal slave girl, pretty young thing named Acantha, push it for me. All the way down to the river, I'm elbowing for a stampede of people, turning back now and then to make sure she hasn't legged it with my valuables. But, to my surprise, we make it, and I see this barge loading up, and it's so full it's almost sinking. But the captain's happy to take my coin, so I start boarding, and then he puts his hand on my chest and he says, "No, too heavy. The cart or the girl." So I did what anyone would have done.
You chose the cart, didn't you?
Of course I chose the cart. I mean, I can always buy a new slave girl if I still have my money. So I put my hand on the cart, and I guess she realised what was happening because those pretty black eyes of hers go all wide. And in one swift motion, she topples the whole bloody thing into the Tiber.
I think I see where this is going.
Naturally, I dived in after it, hoping to salvage my fortune. Only, I guess I must have hit my head or something, because everything went black. When I came to, I'd washed up on the riverbank, not far from here, with nothing in the world but a single silver coin.
So, because some people mention a coin. Memory lapse also.
Thank you, friend.
Commiserations.
But it turns out it might have been a stroke of good fortune, because this place is a veritable treasure trove. Look around you. There must be more gold in here than in the treasury of Rome. If I can just figure out how to get it out of here.
I need some... that shit.
Certainly. All I ask is a reasonable price of 1,000 denarii.
How will I come up with 1,000 denarii?
That's hardly my concern. But if you get a job, work hard and save your coins, you should be able to afford it within, say, 5 years?
You're price gouging over life-saving medicine? What's wrong with you?
Oh, it's perfectly legal. Simply a question of supply and demand, I'm afraid. Take it or leave it.
Did you hear that?
Hear what?
Never mind.
You sure you're feeling all right? If you're hearing things, perhaps you should pay a visit to Lucretia's clinic. We don't want another Navia on our hands.
What happened to Navia?
She claimed the statues were whispering to her. Nobody else could hear it. Then she shut herself in the palace and we never heard from her again. But I digress. Do you want this Silphium or not?
How about I just take it instead?
Well, if you did that, you'd break the golden rule, and we'd share the same fate as the last lot who lived here. Is that what you want?
Is that what you want? If not, hand them over, now.
Do you think I don't know a bluff when I see one? Nice try.
I don't have that kind of money.
Well, perhaps I can interest you in something within your budget?
I'm going
Very
out.
well. Another time. Hey, Virgil, how much would you want to make me a bow?
For the last time, Dacius, I'm not making you a bow.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Okay. Oh. Shit. Guess we're going to the shrine now. No, I'm Bill Cosby. I got lost.
Oh, is that right? Well, just make sure you don't get lost in any other sacred places you're not supposed to be. Can't have you disrespecting the gods by accident, can we now? But listen, most folks see you live.
Alright, you know what I'm doing.
Alright, friend. Suit yourself. Just don't.
Hold up. Load. See, Yep. Should have chose the more optimal dialogue choice.
Oh.
Huh. No problem.
Ah, a fellow traveler from a faraway land.
Italian.
What are you doing in here? Can't you? She needs.
Here.
What? Quick, give it here. Yulia, Yulia, you need to swallow this. Here, let me help you. Hopefully, in a moment, she should be able to breathe normally. That was extraordinary. How did you know she needed this exact thing, and at this exact moment? Are you some kind of oracle?
I heard she got sick or known to find medicine.
But how could you know she needed this exact medicine? And how did you even get it? I guess it doesn't matter. You just saved a person's life, and you should be proud of yourself. She might even be able to thank you herself in a few moments. And maybe she can tell us who poisoned her, and who she meant when she was muttering about that snake's cruel black eyes. In the meantime, I'm happy to help you with whatever it is you need.
Okay. I keep hearing the statues whispering. Is that normal?
Oh no. Sorry, I don't mean to worry you, but no, that is definitely not normal. There was one other person who claimed she could hear the statues talking to her. But that was Nevia, and she went a little mad.
Tell me about Nevia.
Well, she used to run the clinic. She was a midwife, not a physician, but she was the closest thing we had down here. And she was good, too, until she suddenly lost all interest in us. One day she told me she'd made some profound discovery about the golden statues. This changes everything, she kept saying. But I had no idea what she was talking about. The last time I saw her, the last time any of us saw her, she was muttering to the statues, like she could talk to them. And then she shut herself in the palace, barred the door from the inside, and nobody's seen her since. She's been gone so long now, we figure she's either dead or up to something so strange that she doesn't want anyone else to know about it. But I really wish I could reach her, because that's the only hope I have of solving a troubling problem, a real thorn in the paw situation. One of my patients is suffering from terrible rheumatism. His joints are inflamed, and he's in constant pain.
Ooh.
I really shouldn't say. He wouldn't like it. And he's a little bit scary. He's become so irritable that the smallest things set him off. And I just know Nevia would know how to treat him, assuming she's still alive. But nobody seems to know how to get into the palace.
Let's see what I can do.
Thanks, I suppose. That's a shame. Thanks again for saving Yulia's life. Apollo smiles upon you.
Oh, it's you. Sorry, I'm still a bit out of it. But thanks for trying to help me, I suppose. Was there something you wanted? Lucretia says I'm supposed to rest.
Can I ask what happened to you?
As much as I'm grateful that you tried to help me, it's just not safe for me to talk about it. Please, no more questions.
I want to know how someone poisoned you without breaking the golden rule.
The golden rule. That's the least of my worries. The gods may be cruel, but Malleolus and Claudia are far crueler.
Is that who poisoned you?
Please, just leave me alone. I don't want to talk about it.
I can't help unless you tell me what happened.
Persistent as Nemesis, aren't you? I can tell you, but it's a long saga.
I have all the time in the world.
All right. I'd been here about a week when it dawned on me I'd be trapped here for the rest of my life. I could hardly breathe, and I knew I had to get out somehow. So when my new friend Aurelia offered me a secret way out, I would have done anything. And then I learned her asking price. 1,000 denarii. She was supposed to be my friend. I told her it would take me years to save up that much. So she suggested I take out a loan from Malleolus. And I did.
Why would he lend you so much money?
I had to sign an agreement, saying I'd work off the debt over 30 years. But I figured I'd be out of here so soon it wouldn't matter. I paid Aurelia, and she gave me her so-called way out. Do you want to know what it was? Hemlock.
What's hemlock?
It's a deadly poison made from a plant. Drink this, she said, and you'll be out of here in no time. Of course, I demanded my money back, but she refused. She pointed to a sign on her tavern saying, "Let the buyer beware." Then she just looked at me with those cruel black eyes, and she laughed. She immediately told Malleolus I'd tried to escape without paying him back. Only, he didn't seem upset or surprised at all. In fact, he just thanked her. And that's when I realized the two of them had planned the whole thing from the beginning.
Surely that would have broken the golden rule.
That's what I said to the magistrate. I went to Sentius and begged for help, but he said the law was clear. I'd signed over my labor for 30 years and there was nothing he could do. I thought about resisting too. But Malleolus said if I didn't submit, I'd break the golden rule. And I couldn't be responsible for all those deaths, so he locked me in his villa. Confiscated everything I owned as collateral, and made me wear immodest, humiliating outfits while I worked day in, day out. His wife Claudia was just as bad. She sent me to work on an endless stream of futile, demeaning tasks. I'd be on my hands and knees, scrubbing the floor clean for hours, only for her to pour slop on it and hiss, "You missed a spot." Those two took everything from me. But they forgot to confiscate one thing. My hemlock.
So you poisoned yourself.
I just wanted it to be over. But it seems I messed that up too. Should have drunk all of it.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I brought it on myself. I trusted one of the most callous human beings I've ever met, and tried to swindle the other. I don't know how I could have been so stupid.
So what'll happen to you now?
When I've recovered, I expect their thug Domitius will come for me. He'll escort me back to their villa, and I'll be right back where I started. Only this time, I won't be able to lull myself to sleep at night with the thought of a permanent solution. Honestly, it would have been better if the poison had been allowed to run its course.
I'm sorry, can I do anything to help?
I doubt it. It seems this is the fate the gods have chosen for me, for trying to escape. At least until someone breaks the golden rule. Huh. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad.
I have a better idea. How much would it cost to buy your freedom?
A lot. But it doesn't matter. I made a suicide pact with Ulpius last night. He's in exactly the same position as I am. Malleolus and Aurelius set the same trap for him a month after they did it to me.
Oh, that must have been the guy who jumped
He and I
earlier.
are in this together. He's probably already thrown himself
That was
from
him.
the bluff
Oh,
into
okay.
Malleolus's villa by now. If so, I'd never be able to live with myself, knowing I broke my promise to him.
Perhaps I can help him too?
I doubt you could make it up to the bluff in time. I don't know who you are, or why you seem so determined to help me, but thank you.
Okay. I'll get right on it. Alright, time to get going. Gotta go fast.
Salve, friend. I'm Octavia. What? That's good. If you're
Yeah.
not on edge, you've not been paying attention. Well, we've all. I still.
I'll be going out.
All right. Well.
I can't believe this is how it ends.
Oh no! 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 Ulpius, what are you doing? Get back from there. If you lose your balance, you'll fall.
That's the idea.
What? Why? Why would you want that?
Why do you think I'm stuck for the rest of my life working for a man who treats me like an animal?
I know things are hard for you right now. They're hard for all of us. We're all in this together, Ulpius. Please, please just think this through. If you do this, it could be the sin that seals all of our fates. Is that what you want?
I'm sorry, but I just don't care anymore.
Please, Ulpius. Help him. If he goes through with it, it could be the end for us all. I don't know what to do. I've never had to deal with this sort of thing. Please, you need to talk to him.
Alright, I'll talk to him.
Thank you. And please, choose your words carefully.
Ulpius, can we talk?
Let me guess. You're going to lecture me on how suicide is a crime against the Empire.
I was just going to ask you what's wrong.
I screwed up my life. That's what's wrong. I borrowed money, and when I couldn't pay it back, I wound up in debt bondage. I'll be stuck slaving away for that Culus Cumulatis Malleolus for the rest of my life.
Yep, come.
I'm out. Wherever you are, Scintilla, my love, I'm sorry.
Ulpius, no!
Ask Ulpius how Scintilla would feel about his suicide.
I can't believe he went through with it. Oh Lord. That poor lamb.
His suicide doesn't break the golden rule. What does that mean?
Well, I suppose it means suicide isn't a sin under the Golden Rule. So I guess that means whichever god is responsible for it. It isn't mine.
What happens now?
I'll have to let everyone know what happened. And I guess Malleolus will have to clean up the mess in his villa. It's of his own making, after all. And I'd best pray for poor Ulpius.
Yeah. So that's why she ran immediately. It was to pray. Okay, Okay, well, we'll just save him next time. I guess next time we don't even need to actually save Lilia, since she really just needed to commit suicide. We don't really need to save him either, actually, but I need to know what the story is, so we'll save him that one time.
A new face. Arve and Mayvest.
I've been asking people how they wound up here, trying to find a pattern.
Interesting. I'm not sure why you're telling me, but you've come to the right person. Did you find a pattern then? What have you noticed?
Some people mention coin.
Yes, I suppose that could be something. But then most of us do tend to carry coins on our person, don't we? What else?
Memory lapse.
That's true. I know I wasn't entirely sure how I wound up here. What else?
A river.
Yes. I understand many of our friends were carried here by a river current. It's as I feared. I think I understand what poor Livia has been going through. Let me ask you this. Did you happen to encounter a stranger in the forest before you arrived here?
I did, a young woman.
And did you happen to catch her name?
Karen.
I see. And was this Karen by any chance wearing a hood?
He was wearing a hoodie. How could he have known?
Because I've seen her before. There's something I think you should see. I think you'd better follow me to the baths.
Giggity, let's go. Alright, I'll meet you in the baths.
But don't follow too closely. We can't have people thinking we're bathing together.
Oh, is that a sin? What? Inconspicuous following.
You have to do something. A man arrived in the baths. Real nasty sort, with his face all covered. Help! You have to do something. A man arrived in the baths. A real nasty sort, with his face all covered up. And he's got a weapon. You have to do something, or he's gonna break the golden rule.
Wait, who are you?
Fabia, but now's not the time. Are you going to help or not?
How? I don't have a weapon.
None of us do. The magistrate made us throw them all into the chasm. So now this man's bow is the only one
he has
in the
a bow.
city. You'll just have to improvise.
Alright, I'll get around it.
Thank you. He's still in there, somewhere. I have to hide. Find me in this empty shrine when it's over.
Maybe we shouldn't be in there?
What? We don't have time for this. I have to go.
Alright, I don't know why I said that.
The shrine is collapsing.
Well, so much for that.
Fabia, no!
Look for bread.
Oh God, she's dead.
Well, she doesn't need
Did
it.
anyone see that? The
No.
whole shrine just collapsed on her.
Oh boy.
Fabia, why did you go?
Don't have time for that.
Stop right there. I'm looking for Tiberius Quinctius Crispus, otherwise known as Quinctius. Do you know where he is?
I don't know, whatever his name is.
I'm not sure I believe that, so allow me to explain something to you. I am here with orders from Emperor Nero himself to find and execute the cultist Quinctius for terrible crimes against the Empire. So, if you tell me the truth, I will allow you to live. But if you lie to me or otherwise obstruct the Emperor's business in any way, I will put this arrow through your chest. Is that understood?
Got it.
Thank you. Now tell me, who are you people, and what is this place?
Yeah. And we're just a small community of strangers who wound up here by accident.
A small community. Ha! I was told Quintius was a cultist, but I never thought he'd be foolish enough to lead me right to the heart of his mystery cult.
Wait, what's a mystery cult?
Oh, don't play coy with me. I don't care if you're worshipping Bacchus, Magna Mater, or Christ. You lot are all the same to me. Always sneaking off to your secret sanctuaries, indoctrinating each other with your little mantras. The Emperor may have tolerated your activities up until now, but after what Quintius did, those days are numbered.
You got the wrong idea. We're not cultists.
You say that, but if you're not a cult, then why go to such great lengths to keep this place a secret?
We're not keeping it a secret. We're all trapped in here.
So you admit you're not allowed to leave?
It's not that we're not allowed to leave. We physically can't leave. There's no way out.
Threatening me is not going to help you. But in any case, that sounds an awful lot like a cult to me. And I saw the inscription saying, "The many shall suffer for the sins of the one." I take it this is some kind of mantra you all believe?
It's not a mantra, it's a warning.
A distinction without a difference. You've clearly been indoctrinated into this nonsense. Now tell me, where did you lot get enough gold to make all these statues?
There were once people who returned to gold as punishment.
You lot are practicing human sacrifice too. You people disgust me.
You're stirring what I said.
Yes, because I'm the real villain here. It's all clear to me now. The secret sanctuary, the indoctrination, the mantra, the human sacrifice. You're cultists. There's no doubt in my mind. What baffles me is how a person can believe in something with such zeal. They just can't see what they've become. However, you still have a chance to redeem yourself by telling me where Quintius is. Do not waste it.
What can you tell me about Quintius?
Very well. Here's what I know. He's a 40 to 50-year-old man with distinctive eyes, one green and one blue. He's also known to have delusions of grandeur. The Emperor says he and his cult, your cult, are responsible for starting the fire which burnt half of Rome to the ground and killed thousands in the process.
How do you know he set fire to Rome?
All I know, all I care about, is that the Emperor believes he is guilty and wants him dead. The details are not my concern.
Oh, we're the ones in the
This
call.
is your last chance. Are you going to tell me where he is or not?
Actually, I do know where he is.
Suddenly it's all coming back to you, is it?
Yeah, he's in the Ville, right at the end of this road. He goes by Malleus now.
Thank you. For your service to the Empire, I'll let you live for now, but you'd best make sure our paths don't cross again.
Alright, sounds like we're gonna get a reset pretty soon. Let's check out the baths. Okay. Common thread. Oh wait, why is she back here now?
What is it, citizen?
Okay. Let me go now.
All right.
Let me know when you've cleared the way to the baths.
Oh, so this isn't a clear way.
Keep an eye out for Scintilla, would you?
Okay. Okay, let me tell him about the assassin.
Citizen, we're finally alone. I assume you already know who we have? Is that a...
We've had this conversation too. I'm in a hurry.
Seems rather brash, but all right.
Why you saw? Yeah.
Of course. What is it? Yes.
Okay.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Run. Too late.
Everybody run!
Oh shit. Hold up. You save? Quit? Looks like we glitched up here. Okay, good. I'm Bill Cosby. I need you to take care of something's urgently.
Oh, sounds serious. I'm listening.
Lydia's dying, but Lucretia can't help her without this Siphium. Take some of it and go quickly.
Yulia? Oh no. All right, I can do that.
That's it. Now go, as fast as you can.
I'll go, but once I'm done, I'll need you to tell me how you know all of this.
That's cool. So we can use him as an errand boy every time we start over then. Okay, so Galerius does have a purpose outside being annoying. So it looks like the time loop doesn't make it so that we lose items, so it's a plot convenience, but I'm not gonna pry too much. We'll just call it magic then. So items we obtained previously will be available for us upon respawning, even though it doesn't really make sense in the space-time continue loop, but otherwise we'd be here all day otherwise, so well, we'd be here all day over and over again. That's what I mean. I understand. Okay, let's run up then. But yeah, kudos to the people who wrote this fucking game. Damn, they thought of everything. Must have been hell to think about to write up the quest and then figure out the timeline and how. Okay, what happens if the player repeats from this segment here, or repeats from here? What happens if the player completed this part, but not this part yet? It must have taken so long to, like, organize those thoughts. Shut up!
Salve, Fred.
Shut
Welcome
up! Actually, I really need to talk to Ulpius.
All right, well, it was lovely to meet you. I look forward to getting to know you better over the coming months. And if you ever...
I can't believe this is how it ends.
Oh no. No. No, 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 no. Ulpius, what are you doing?
That's the idea.
What?
Why do you...
I know, please.
I'm sorry.
Please, I'll help him. If he goes through with...
Okay. Alright.
Thank you. And please.
Is this what Scintilla would want?
You know about that? How is that possible? I mean, I've never mentioned it to anyone.
You'd never believe me if I told you.
Well, if you say so. You don't understand. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want it all to be over.
Maybe I can help solve your problem.
It's too late for that. Yulia and I made a pact. And she's already swallowed hemlock this morning. If I backed out now, I'd be betraying her. I can't do that.
Lucretia was able to get some Scythium in time to save her life. She's gonna be fine.
Oh, really? That changes things a little.
Nope,
I'd be
wait, still
in
suicidal.
debt bondage to that monster. Unless you happen to have 2,000 denarii to pay off both of our debts.
Wait, why do you need 2,000 denarii?
Yulia and I are in debt bondage to Malleolus. We might as well be slaves. And that's how much it will take to buy our freedom back.
How do you get yourself in so much debt?
Oh. So it's my fault. Is that it? You know what? Forget it. I am out. Wherever you are, Scintilla, my love. I'm sorry.
Ulpius, no!
I think I have an idea. There's that one box with all the money in it. Maybe I can keep aggregating money.
I can't believe he went through with it. Oh Lord. That poor lamb.
Oh, what happens now?
I'll have to let everyone know what's happened.
Alright.
And I'd best...
Okay. Let's see, is there a way to keep track of all the money I currently have? Okay. But there was... Actually, I wonder, could that conversation have gone a bit better? Let's see. Yeah, let's try this one. Let's see if there was another way to go through that conversation. Good autosave sectioning too.
Salve, Fred. Welcome.
They thought of everything.
All right.
I can't believe this is how it ends.
Oh no. No. No, 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 no. Ulpius, what?
That's the...
What?
Why do you... I'm sorry.
Please, help.
You...
Never believe me if I told you.
Well, you don't understand.
Maybe I can help solve your problem.
If I backed out now, I... Oh, but we're still in debt bond.
Well, no, but I could probably raise the money if you give me some time.
No. No. Time's up. I'm out. Wherever you are, Scintilla, my love. I'm sorry.
Ulpius, no!
Maybe there's other ways to amass money too.
I'll have to let... And I...
It was worth a shot trying it again, but... $246. Okay, I guess it doesn't get duplicated. Here. Okay, let's ask her about the escape plan then.
Welcome.
sorry. I'm still a bit out of it. Galerius just saved my life. Was there something you wanted?
Okay. Do you know anything about Scintilla's disappearance?
No. I did hear from Ulpius that she disappeared. It's very sad. She was such a lovely young woman. But I'd been locked in Malleolus's villa for months before she went missing, so I can't help you, I'm afraid.
Fair enough. What's your story?
You mean my life story? Oh, well, I grew up as part of a big family in Rome. Me and 3 older sisters. Our father found good husbands for my sisters, but I wasn't, cut out for that kind of life. So he found me a job as a scribe for a prominent merchant. It was a good life for a while, until 7 months ago when the fires came. My colleagues and I worked desperately to try to protect our warehouse. We must have had 100 workers passing buckets of water, chanting prayers to Vulcan, but they fell on deaf ears. The fire was relentless and it claimed everything and everyone. Well, almost everyone. My employer told me to grab what valuables I could and flee for the Tiber with the crowds. I remember diving into the river and then the next thing I knew, I was waking up on the riverbank not far from here.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. But to be honest, sometimes I think dying in that fire might have been a blessing, given what's happened since.
I understand. I'll be going now.
All right. Goodbye.
Okay, save. Might as well just save over this one now.
Welcome.
Okay. Let's see if I can do something about that.
Wonder how much one of these statues is worth on the outside.
Help! You have to do something. A man arrived in the baths. You have to do...
I'll see what I can do.
Thank you. I have to hide. Find me in this empty shrine when it's...
Do not go in there.
What? Why?
Just trust me.
All right, fine. Come and find me in my bakery instead. Please be careful.
Okay, save Levia's life. Warning. Shrine may collapse at any moment. I wonder if I can tell him if it's in the shrine.
Stop right there.
Yeah, I saw him worshipping in a small round shrine just inside the city. Second building on your left.
Thank you. For your service to the Empire, I'll let you live for now, but you'd best make sure our paths don't cross again.
I hope he can't read. The game should make it so he runs there, since that's an obvious way to kill him. I ain't got all day. I mean, I do have all the time in the world, but still. Okay. Now, does this...
Curse you, cultist.
Does this break the golden rule? It doesn't, right? It's an accident. I wasn't the one who murdered him. Wooden bow, I'll take that. Bounty nose. Okay, Nero. Yeah, I know his story. Fletched arrow. Daenerys. 1. Straight as an arrow. Okay, save. Okay. I don't even know where the bakery is. Fuck.
you there? I'm sorry to trouble you, but I couldn't help but notice
Fuck
that
off.
fine bow you're carrying. No idea how you managed to get your hands on it, especially in the light of our dear old magistrate's ban, but I'm impressed. And before you ask, no, I wouldn't dream of trying to buy it from you. I have no use for a wooden bow myself. But I would like to propose a joint business venture of sorts.
Go on.
Tell me, do you have any idea how people here end up as golden statues?
The statues come to life and fire golden bows, arrows. The statues come to life and fire golden bows, arrows at them.
And here I was thinking I was the only one to figure it out. In any case, supposedly 1 or 2 of those arrows is enough to turn a full-grown man into gold. Now, of course, that is a travesty, a terrible, horrible waste of human life, which has to be stopped. And yet, on the other hand, I can't help but think of a tale told by that Greek fella Aesop, the goose that laid the golden egg. With the ability to transmute organic matter into gold, one could create infinite wealth. Use your imagination. Golden animals, insects, trees and plants. The Midas touch without the drawbacks. We are talking riches beyond imagining. And even if we were to split all those riches between the 2 of us, half of infinite wealth is still infinite. Interested?
I think the Golden Goose is meant to be a cautionary tale.
Look, I might have skimmed over that one, but don't be so pedantic. Are you interested or not?
I do like money.
Excellent. So the first question is, how do we get our hands on one of those golden bows? Now, I have a plan, but first, tell me, are you familiar with the story of the goddess Diana?
Not really.
No problem. Allow me to explain.
Give me the Cliff Notes version.
Diana is our goddess of the hunt, the moon, and the underworld, depending on who you ask. The one thing priests and poets agree on is that she carried with her a golden bow and a quiver of golden arrows. And it just so happens that there is a shrine of Diana in this very forum, with a prominent statue of the goddess herself. And would you like to guess what she's holding in her hand?
Golden bow?
Precisely. I can't tell you how many hours I've spent in that temple staring at it, trying to figure out how to retrieve it without breaking you-know-what.
But you want me to steal it?
Oh, gods no! If you tried that, we'd all be dead within moments, I'm sure. No, here's what I propose. You give your bow to me, I cover it in a thin layer of gold leaf, and we create a replica of a golden bow. Then you enter the shrine, extinguish the braziers, and under cover of darkness, swap out the fake for the original. It's not theft exactly, it's more of a trade.
Oh
But
no.
make no mistake, this is a dangerous path, and there's no way of knowing where it will lead. But in my experience, all the best adventures begin with a risky first step.
This still sounds like
You
stealing
must
to
have
me.
questions. Ask away.
Isn't that extremely dangerous?
When Prometheus stole fire from the gods and became a hero to all mankind, do you think he was worried about the danger?
Fair point. Why can't I just take
Because
it?
the gods would see you, of course. Hence my proposal.
Why can't you do it?
I'm more of an ideas man, whereas you're obviously the more resourceful and heroic type. I have complete confidence in you.
Heroic, yeah. Obviously. That's why we're gonna steal this.
So, are you in, partner?
Okay. If you don't like action or horror elements, free. Okay, it's nice that the game gives you tips about what's going to happen next. I'll do it, but don't ever call me partner.
Wonderful. Now, if you'll hand over your bow, I can get started applying a layer of gold leaf. This is a quality weapon. Now, bear with me for a moment.
Oh man, how long is this gonna take?
And here we are, a gold leaf bow.
A composite bow covered in gold leaf.
Now I've gone and unlocked the Shrine of Diana for you, so as quick as you can, head on inside. It's just at the end of the street on the left. May the gods not watch over you.
I wonder if I could sell this fake bow to him in the next cycle. Alright. We'll worry about that later. I have a bunch of other things to take care of right now.
You took care of him?
He had a tragic accident in that shrine.
An accident? So, it's over? Oh, God. It's such a relief.
Yep, an accident.
I really thought we were all going to die.
Not premeditated at all.
I do have a question, though. That shrine, the one I was going to hide in, did you know it was going to collapse?
Of course not. Otherwise, that'd be murder. If I said yes, I'd be admitting to murder.
I don't understand. Oh, I see. I should probably keep my big mouth shut then. Sorry. I promise, nobody else will ever know what you did. But I know. That was really clever.
Alright.
Thank you.
Alright.
I'm glad you're here.
You have understanding now.
Speaking of which, welcome. I'm Fabia. Sorry I was a bit frantic before. Need anything?
What's your story?
Oh, there's not much to tell. I mostly just bake bread and try to help out where I can.
Okay. How'd you end up here?
I suppose it all started about 8 months ago. I was living in Rome with my family when I got sick. Terrible timing. My pa had just arranged a husband for me. A fisherman's son. I was about to meet him for the first time when I came down with an awful fever. I spent the next week in bed. Pa paid priests to make offerings to Asclepius, a white rooster, then a goat. But nothing worked. In the end, they decided I'd do better outside the city. Clean air in the countryside would do me good, they said. But after about a day in a carriage on the Appian Way, I was getting worse, not better. I remember closing my eyes for a bit, and I guess I must have fell asleep, because when I opened them again, I was in a forest.
River
by a
again.
river. I suppose the driver took off with his fee and left me for dead. Can't say I blame him. I wouldn't have wanted to catch what I had either. Anyway, I went searching for help, stumbled across the trapdoor temple, and here I am.
That's odd. Most of the others were in Rome before they woke up in the forest. But you're saying you were a day's ride away?
Oh, yeah. I suppose you're right. Hadn't really thought about it. But the gods are mysterious and powerful. Who knows what their plans are for us?
Let me going now.
All right. Thanks again for taking care of our problem. I won't forget it.
Okay. Yourself, buddy. Okay, let me pick an active quest now. Let's see. Permanent solution. Common thread.
A new face. Interesting.
Okay, coin.
Yes. What else?
River.
Yes. What else? That's true. It's as I feared. Let me ask you this. And because I've... But don't follow too closely. We can't have people thinking we're bathing together.
What? Is that a sin? To bathe together? Well, how else would he speak? Who speaks without tongues? No offense to people who don't have tongues. I apologize, that was very rude of me. Load zone. This is a communal bath. Why would it be a problem with us walking in together? I think it's about as private as it's gonna get. Do we actually have to walk all the way over here to have our private conversation? Alright.
All right, you're here. You were asking how I knew the young woman you met by the river was wearing a hood. Here, look down at the bottom of the baths. It's a little hard to make out in this light. If only we could see. Oh, what a marvelous lamp. But do you see it? Somebody waking up by a river in a forest to find a hooded figure with a coin. It's just as you described it, only your pronunciation is a little off. The name you heard wasn't Charon. It was C-H-A-R-O-N, as in Charon, the ferryman of the dead. Charon, who, in exchange for the right coin, helps the souls of the newly deceased cross the Styx, the river that separates the land of the living from the land of the dead.
And also request the manager.
I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID,
Ooh.
but all I found was some loose change.
Got achievement.
Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute. Sorry if I sounded cagey, it's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen.
I'm so sorry, my friend. I'm so sorry. I take it you know what this means.
This place is the underworld.
I'm afraid so. It's all starting to make sense. All these people whose last memory was running from the fires toward the river. It seems none of them escaped with their lives after all. Perhaps we should be grateful they don't remember their final moments. It also tells us that the Golden Rule is the work of Pluto, the god of the underworld, and why his epithet has always been Father of Riches. I know it's a lot to take in, and you look as if you have questions, so I'll try to answer them if I can.
Okay. So, we're dead.
That was my first thought too. In the old stories, the underworld was where the souls of the deceased were taken. But it was also possible for the living to reach it without dying, if they were particularly fearless. So I'm afraid I don't know.
What can you tell me about Karen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you're not from here. If you were Roman, or even Greek, you would know these stories. Each of them is slightly different, whether the storyteller was Plato, Homer, Virgil, or Ovid. But they always involved the souls of the dead meeting a grim ferryman named Charon on the bank of a river. It was said that he'd help the new arrival cross, only if they could pay him with a coin, an obol. That's why it was once our custom to bury our loved ones with a coin in their mouths. Charon's obol, we called it. Of course, an obol was a kind of Greek coin, because we inherited this knowledge from the Greeks.
Why didn't you all recognize Karen immediately?
To be fair, the ferryman isn't exactly as the poets described, and he, she, they seem to appear to different people in different
We shouldn't
guises.
have assumed their gender.
You say you saw a young woman named Karen with a hood, and I once heard Kabash mention a stranger in a ram headdress named Kerti, and Rufius described meeting a stranger named Kumut Tabal wearing an eagle headdress. But whatever form this stranger took, they were always wearing a hood of some sort, and their name always began with a K sound. I suspect the only way you'll solve this riddle is if your paths cross again.
Why are there so few people in the underworld?
Good question. Let's see. In the stories, Charon would always require a coin as payment for passage across the river. But that never made any sense to me. What does an ancient immortal being need with coins? In our case, it seems Charon didn't take the coins we had. He or she merely checked we had one in our possession. So, maybe there's something special about the coins each of us had on us. That might explain why we wound up here, but so many others did not.
So literally, only 22 people died with change on them. I'm not sure if I buy that. Okay, were you trying to keep this from me?
No. I mean, I had my suspicions, especially after Livia's ramblings, but I would never have figured it out without your help. I promise you.
That's all the questions I had.
Now that we know where we are, we have to figure out what to do about it, if we don't want to be cast into gold for eternity. We don't have much to go on, except the old stories. I remember 4 in particular about heroes in the underworld. Hercules, the demigod and son of Jupiter. Orpheus, a Thracian poet. Sisyphus, a king of Ephyra, and Aeneas, a Trojan hero.
Oh man, no more
Hercules
stories.
was able to leave the underworld because he cowed its god with his strength. Sisyphus and Orpheus both relied on their wits instead. They persuaded the goddess of the underworld, Proserpina, to help them escape. And finally, Aeneas was able to escape with the help of a spirit guide, who led him through a secret gate. So it seems you have two options: to confront the god of the underworld head-on, or find a way to escape with the help of Proserpina or some other guide.
Can't we just escape the way we came in?
It's a reasonable question, but the problem is, this place is fairly well designed to keep us here. There's no way to climb up the shaft. And even if you could build a ladder big enough, just trying it would break the golden rule.
I have a feeling the clock's going to reset as soon as I'm done.
To the writings left behind
We'll follow
by
the lore
those who've
here.
tried.
Notice you seem uncomfortable calling the god of the underworld by his name. Why is that?
All Romans try to avoid saying it, and the reason is quite simple. He might hear us. You may refer to him as Pluto, if you wish, but you'll only be calling attention to yourself.
I guess he got pissed that he was demoted from planet to dwarf planet. Tell me more about confronting Pluto head on.
Is everyone so blunt where you're from?
You don't like blunts?
That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the Golden Rule, and maybe even put an end to it. As I said, Hercules managed to overpower the god of the underworld, but he was a demigod. Forgive my candor, but you are no Hercules.
How dare you say that about Bill Cosby? I have a few tricks up my sleeve.
I'll admit, you do seem different to anyone I've ever met. And even that lamp of yours looks like something Prometheus might have stolen from the gods.
I'm not a thief. What are you
So,
talking about?
If you want to confront him, I'll help you as much as I can. Who knows? Perhaps your name will be uttered in the same sentence as Hercules one day.
Bill Cosby.
First, you'd need an audience with you-know-who, and for that, you'll need to enter the great temple overlooking the city. The problem is, the door has been sealed shut for as long as I've lived here.
Oh, the one the guy jumped
and there
off
doesn't
of
even
to
seem
kill
to be a
himself.
keyhole. I suspect the answer lies in the desecrated obelisk in front of it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there are 4 plaques missing from its base. It looks as though somebody, or a series of somebodies, forcibly removed them, and in doing so, dishonored and angered our divine keeper. If you could recover and replace all 4 of those missing plaques, I imagine he might be willing to receive an audience again.
What can you tell me about the obelisk?
It's the towering stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid-shaped head that stands before the great temple, a dedication to the god of this place. You'll find them all over Rome, but of course they were looted from Egypt many years ago. It seems one of them made its way here too, although how is a mystery. However, this one is unusual in that each of the 4 sides is decorated in a different style: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and another I don't recognize. That means you'll need to recover 4 different plaques: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and a 4th, a mystery plaque.
Oh man, this is a lot of stuff to digest. Okay, where can I find a Roman plaque?
Good question. To answer that, we first need to ask who would have defaced the obelisk in the first place. It would have had the god's
Ask
name
Malleus about the Roman
engraved
plaque.
into it, so it may be that whoever desecrated it wanted that name to be forgotten. And there's only one group of people I know of who might want to do that. There's a cult in Rome that often argued there is only one true god. Theirs, of course.
Nicolas Cage?
They've been known to start fires, as well as deface religious monuments whose existence challenged their beliefs. If I were you, I'd go looking for them. Of course, they've all been in hiding since the fire last year, so finding them won't be easy. But I did hear a rumor they have a secret shrine somewhere in the city. Perhaps, if you could find that, you might be able to recover the Roman plaque.
That might be where that one girl went to pray. Where... Oh yeah, I think that one of the fish, right?
I don't know.
Greek
But
plaque.
perhaps you should begin your search with the local Greek fellow, Georgius. His store is in the forum.
Oh yeah, we've been ignoring him for a while.
Perhaps Kabash, our Egyptian resident, would be able to tell us. Unfortunately, he disappeared weeks ago. But I did hear Aurelia is peddling rumors about him at the tavern, so perhaps you could talk to her. Or just take a look in his room.
Okay, where can I find the mystery plaque?
I'm afraid you're on your own with that one. But perhaps finding the other three will illuminate the way.
Let's talk about something else. Doing more escaping with the help of Proserpina or a guide.
As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help them escape, and Aeneas was guided to the exit. The problem is, those are the stories of a poet, a self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their own heroic deeds, so they should be taken with a grain of salt. First, Proserpina.
Okay, that's how you pronounce that.
What we do know about her is, well, it's a grim tale. It's said the god of the underworld abducted and dragged her here against her will, forcing her into marriage.
So she might be willing to work against him to help us?
If the stories are true, then I suppose so. The problem is, how do we communicate with her without being noticed by her captor? Leaving that aside for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit guide. I don't suppose you've come across one of those in your travels?
Is that the whispering? I hear the female statues whispering to me every now and then.
Truly? And you're only bringing this up now? Then again, I suppose you were worried I'd think you were as mad as Navia. Can you tell me more? Is it the same voice? What kinds of thing does it say?
It's always the same voice, and she's helpful, if a little cryptic.
Fascinating. Perhaps she is a benevolent spirit. Or perhaps... Perhaps you're hearing the voice of Proserpina herself. If she has indeed been abducted, it would make sense for her to speak in cryptic whispers to avoid detection. Tell me, has she told you anything that might lead you to the way out?
Perhaps. She said, wade against the current, and her tears run through the city. And she weeps where the water flows.
That is strange. There are no rivers here. Let me think on that.
I was really hoping you'd tell me what it meant.
Well, as far as I can tell, water flows into the city from an
the
aqueduct
cistern.
into one of two cisterns, the upper cistern. If that's the current she's talking about, then perhaps you need to get into the upper cistern somehow. I vaguely recall wondering what was in there, but the door at the back of the great temple is locked up tight. You might be able to get a key from the magistrate, but if that doesn't work, perhaps you can find another way in. Let me know if you find anything in there.
Okay. Alright, I'm ready to get started.
Alright. I would suggest not discussing this with anyone. The best we can do for them is to let them remain oblivious for as long as possible. As for Livia, it seems she's been shouldering the weight of this terrible secret all this time. Perhaps it would comfort her to know she's not alone.
Okay. Okay, I'll have a chat with Olivia first.
In any case, time is of the essence, so you'd best begin. May Fortuna guide you. Although you may not need her with Proserpina on your side.
I have a bad feeling that we're about to reset now. We've had a really long conversation here. I feel like we're out of time already. I think once we reset again, we'll call it for tonight. Why do we have to have a private conversation all the way back here?
Isn't the great temple majestic?
Stop trying to play it cool around me, okay? We already had our conversation, just see. Olivia. I have to talk to her before we reset. Oh god. Let me save the game. Am I allowed to jump? Ah, fuck it. We regen health, right?
The 49 Beladies fetch again. Just as the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts all the souls. But it does not notice the crowds that come.
I figured it out. I know where we are.
Say it. Speak its name.
The underworld.
Then it is true. I was right.
You were.
I thought I saw it, but when the rest of them could not, I kept thinking I must have gone insane. I had to tell myself it was true over and over again, until I wasn't sure if I was deceiving myself. I must apologize if my words seem cryptic. I'd found comfort in reciting the Metamorphoses by our great poet Ovid. He gives such an uncanny description of this place. I cannot help but wonder if he himself came here. Would you like to hear it?
Sure.
I will do my best to remember the relevant verse. There is a downward path, gloomy with fatal yew trees. It leads through dumb silence to the infernal regions. The sluggish Styx exhales vapor, and by that way, the shadows of the newly dead descend, entombed with full rites, and the ghosts of those, at last, given proper burial. The wide, thorny waste is cold and pallid, and the newly arrived shades are ignorant of the road that leads to the Stygian city, where Black Dis has his cruel palace. As the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts all the souls, and is never too small for any populace, nor notices the crowds that come. There the bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone. Some crowd the forum, some the house of the ruler of the depths. Others follow their trades, imitating their previous lives, and still others incur punishment. I hope I have done it justice, and now we share a secret. It's as if you've lifted a great burden from my shoulders. Thank you, friend. I think I should rest.
Okay, save. Lead resolve.
Friend, you have given me hope. May you follow in the footsteps of Hercules and return to the light of day.
Okay, there's no more to ask. Poem by Galeris. Read. A love poem to an unspecified woman. My life has been torturous. As the 7 labors of Hercules, orphaned, defeated, and enslaved, yet I would suffer it all again gladly, because each loss, wound, and tragedy brought you to me. Radiant as Rome's sacred flame, your bright warmth nourishes my soul. I know I can never touch you any more than hold Vesta's flame, but to watch and love you from afar, bathing in your glow, is enough. Horatius chest, Daenerys. Okay.
I love your clothes. So exotic.
What do I want to pursue right now? Because we probably don't have much time left. What do I want to accomplish before we reset? I can't ask Ulpius, he's dead. Find a way into the palace. I want to work on that. The problem is I don't want to get in too deep with certain quests. I don't want to get in too deep with multiple different threads at the same time. Otherwise, I'll lose focus and get lost. So maybe I should really focus on stuff right now. Just pick on something and focus in on it so I can follow it a lot easier. Yeah. Right now, what I really want to do is figure out what happened to Sintel, since I was like the first sub-story I went after. Okay. Okay. I guess since we're right here, though, we can ask Aurelia about Kabash.
Ah, you're here. I'm so glad you decided to visit. I'm Aurelia, and I hope I'm not being too forward, but the moment I laid eyes on you, I was intrigued. You're not like any Roman man I've ever seen. You seem so refined, so civilized.
Oh, stop it. No, please go on.
What was that? Some kind of joke? If it was, it wasn't funny. I take back what I said. Suddenly, I don't find you so intriguing anymore. Let's just forget that ever happened, so we can at least do business.
All right, let's get to the point.
So, what brings you to my tavern?
At least we got straight to the point now. I'm looking for Kabash. Have you seen him?
Not for a few weeks now. Last time I saw him, he was sitting at a table with Georgius, whispering about some job. I remember because they kept looking over their shoulders as if they didn't want anyone else to know. So, naturally, I hovered. The one word I kept hearing was vanishing, and then, the next day, Kabash just disappeared. Coincidence? I think not.
Heard any interesting gossip?
Certainly. For 10 denarii.
Alright.
Have you met Livia? She used to do my hair, until one day she just snapped. This place has that effect on people. Now, she just stands around, caked in filth, muttering nonsense to herself. It's a real shame. Now I have to do my own hair.
Snare 10.
I hear that if Malleolus is elected, he's gonna throw a small festival to celebrate, with entertainment and everything. Can't wait to
This
find
reminds
out
me of
what it
Oblivion
is.
now. Alright, let's talk about something else.
Whatever you like.
What's your story?
Ugh, let it go. Nothing's going to happen between us.
Alright.
All right. See ya.
Can't get rejected by Aria. Okay. Okay. What do I want to work on right now? The shrine's right there. That being said, I don't think we have quite enough time to fully explore it, though. Might want to save that for later. Permanent solution. I guess we'll talk to George then.
Salve, Dooley. How are you doing today?
I'm sad. Am I going to die?
I did not do it.
I don't think so, my friend. It's election day today. Perhaps our new magistrate will be kinder than Sentius and let you out.
I hope so. Galerius, what happens when you die?
You're not going to die anytime soon, Dooley.
My mother told me, when you die, a ferryman helps you cross a river and your spirit lives on in the underworld. Is that true?
Well, yes, but...
Is it true that if you were good, you get to go to Elysium, but if you were bad, you get punished forever and ever in Tartarus?
Something like that, but...
If I die and go to Tartarus because they say I've been bad?
I'm not going to let that happen to you, Dooley. I promise.
Thank you, Galerius. Thank you.
Now, I have more work to do, but I'll visit you again soon, alright?
Alright, Galerius. See you then.
Salve again, friend. I went and did as you asked, and it worked. How is it possible that you've just arrived here and you already know everyone and exactly what's about to happen to them?
You never believe me if I told you.
Oh, come on. I just did as you asked. The least you can do is level with me. I'll keep it between us. I promise.
I'm living the same day over and over again.
You're toying with me, right? Wait, you're not kidding, are you? That's the only way you could have known. You're a bit like... Oh, what was his name? Sisyphus. Yeah, that's the one. Old King Sisyphus.
Like Sisyphus? How so?
Sisyphus was a Greek king a long time ago. For daring to think he could outsmart the gods, he was given a terrible punishment. He was forced to push a great boulder up to the top of a hill. Only, just as it reached the top, it would roll all the way back down to the bottom, forcing him to start over and over and over again, for all eternity. Just like you. Actually, now that I think about it, there are a bunch of old stories about the gods punishing people by making them do the same futile task over and over. Tantalus was made to grasp at fruit on a tree he could never quite reach. The Pleiades had to keep fetching water in a sieve. Oh, and Ixion was strapped to a wheel going round and round forever. But on the bright side, at least you're not stuck in the underworld like they all were.
Sure. Go on?
Anyway, I don't know which god you managed to upset to get yourself into this position, friend, but you seem all right to me. So, I'll tell you what. I'll keep doing whatever I can to help you. And you just focus on finding a way to break the cycle you're in.
Thanks, Galerius.
Anytime, friend. Now, I'm going to keep your secret. Although, it's not as if I'll remember this next time we talk anyway, right? Oh, and if our conversations ever start to annoy you, just tell me you're busy. I know when I'm not wanted. May fortune smile on you, friend.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Dooley. What's your story?
My name's Dooley. I live here now because I got in trouble and they said they had to lock me up.
What did you do?
I don't know. I don't remember things so good. I think it's just because I was looking for treasure.
Did someone think you were going to steal?
Yes, but I wasn't. I was just looking.
Is that all?
They said I did it more than once, but I can't remember things so good. Then they called me mean names. They called me a liar, Billy.
A liability?
Yes. They said I have to live here now, and gave me this letter. But I'm not good with words. Do you think you could read it for me?
Okay, a letter from Sentius to Dooley. Magistrate Sentius explains Dooley was locked up to prevent him from trespassing. Reading mode. Magistrate Sentius Tudulius, I am writing to you in relation to your incorrigible antisocial behavior arising from your obsession with the alleged lost treasure. While I'm sympathetic to your plight, the passing of your guardian Hannibal some week ago, I wish to impress upon you an important message. The treasure you seek does not exist. Given your memory limitations, it seems likely you simply misremembered. More importantly, since you have on several occasions been caught trespassing, including around the cisterns, which are strictly off limits to all citizens, I have reluctantly come to the conclusion that you are a liability to this community and must have your how do I scroll? Oh, here. It's inverted. Have your freedom limited, lest you break the golden rule. It is my hope that this lesser will assist you to remember why you are incarcerated, should you experience further lapses in memory.
What does it say?
It says they caught you trespassing several times and locked you in to stop you from breaking the golden rule.
My treasure.
What treasure?
My friend Hannibal used to look after me. He said he always would. But then, he died. It was very sad. He said, if anything ever happened to him, I had to find something very precious hidden away. He gave me this key and made me promise to keep it safe until I found the treasure. But I couldn't find it. All I remember is he said something about the cisterns, but when I went up to the high one, they put me in here. Now nobody looks after me, except my friend Galerius and Ek, the priestess lady. She's a nice lady.
Don't you just love springtime?
Quite hilarious. If you give me the key, I can try to find out what it unlocks.
Hannibal said I shouldn't give it to anyone I didn't trust. But maybe you could help me get out of here. Then I would trust you a lot.
Let me talk to the magistrate about getting you out of here.
Galerius already tried that. He said the magistrate wouldn't listen, no matter what.
Maybe I'll just break you out.
What about the rules? I don't want everyone to get in trouble because I was bad.
Then maybe it's time we had a new magistrate.
Like Galerius. He's nice. I like Galerius.
Figure out how to get Galerius elected as
He made me a
magistrate.
doll and everything. If you help make him magistrate, he can get me out of here, and I can give you the key to my treasure. Hannibal said it was in the cisterns. I can't remember what it was, just that it was way up high and very precious.
I'll see what I can do. Let's talk about your treasure.
My friend Hannibal used to look after me. He said he always would. But then, he died. It was very sad. He said, if anything ever happened to him, I had to find something very precious hidden away. He gave me this key and made me promise to keep it safe until I found the treasure. But I couldn't find it. All I remember is he said something about
Alright.
Now nobody looks.
Okay. I'll be going now.
Bye-bye.
Alright, George.
Ah, a fellow traveler from a faraway land. Greetings, I'm Georgius. It gladdens me to see another foreigner in our midst. We must stick together, you and I. And I must say, my sartorial friend, your clothing is most extraordinary. Leather boots in place of sandals, trousers with precise stitching, and such a curious design. I have traveled distant trade routes from the markets of Damascus to the farms of India. And never have I seen anyone dressed quite like you. Tell me, I must know. From which exotic part of the world do you hail?
You're from beyond the edge of the known world. Nah. You never believe me if I told you.
And now you have me more intrigued than before. But since it appears you do not wish to share, I will wait until we are better friends. We will have much time here to get to know one another. But for now, do you require assistance? I know you do not require clothing, so information perhaps?
I'm looking for Kabash, and I heard you were one of the last people to see him.
Ah, I knew this day would come. I do not wish to lie to you, my friend, but even discussing this matter is dangerous. Please, let us leave the live coals safely beneath the ash.
You can trust me. We're foreigners. We have to stick together, remember?
Very well. But the magistrate would not look kindly upon this, so please keep it to yourself. For several months now, I have been sneaking out at night to worship the gods of my ancestors in the Temple of Demeter. Each day, I leave offerings of food in the hope that we may have a bountiful harvest, and yet the next day when I return, the food is missing.
How's that a problem?
The offering, it is symbolic, you see. It is never eaten. So I ask, who or what is devouring the food in this temple? Stranger still. Once I sat in front of my shop like the 100-eyed Argus until dawn to see if I could spot a thief going in. But do you know what I saw?
Animals?
Nothing. Nobody entered. And yet when I went to take a look, my offering was gone. It is bizarre, is it not? When I told my friend Kabash of this at the tavern, he offered to help investigate. He went in, and to my dismay, he was never seen again.
Where is this temple?
It is the only Greek temple in the city. Head towards the baths, and it is the last building on your right.
I'm up to the Temple of Demeter then.
I do not think you should pursue this, my friend. It would break my heart to be responsible for 2 people disappearing. But you do not strike me as a kind of person to be deterred by such warnings, so just be careful, I beg you.
Okay. So many things going on now. Okay. Alright. Feels like we're gonna reset any time now. It's pretty late. So let's put this as our primary one for now. See. Okay, they aren't talking just yet. We'll not know if enough time has passed. Let me check over here actually. We've been here? Looks like there's just a way in, there's no way to interact with.
Ave.
Let me see if I can talk to Cynthia about anything.
Ugh, I wish Horatius would stop letting barbarians in.
I'll be going now.
I trust you can see yourself out.
Rufius' deal. Nope, we'll deal with him in the next cycle. Alright, we're coming up close to 4 hours now. I think I better call it here. If I steal it again, maybe everything will reset. In which case, I'll just save the game here.
Same thing I've made every day for the last 5 months, Georgius.
Alright, let me save the game here then.
Bread.
And we'll quit here for tonight. Yeah, that's gonna be it for this evening. For anyone who's watching, thank you for watching, we appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.